Chapter 81. He has a unique leadership temperament. Shirijiri Nishi-san, is this how you usually practice? The training ground, Hachikan, Itachi, and Shisui were sweating profusely. At this moment, with the speed of the 8 swords swinging, Itachi alone can't keep up with it. So the way of training has been changed a little bit. The flying shuriken doubled as before, and Itachi and Shisui turned on Sharingan to attack at the same time. After a few days of getting used to it, they have become accustomed to this cultivation method. Only Yamato hid beside her tremblingly, looking terrified. Kakashi is calmer. Holding a book of Intimacy Paradise in his hand, he was very fascinated by it. Before this book, Bajian met Jiraiya when he asked Izuki Yugao to take a bath for the first time, and got the lifted version from the other party's hands. The content inside is not comparable to the revised version issued on the market. Very cool. This is the Book of Gods. Chest heaving, Kakashi raised his belt slightly and looked at Yamato. Calm down, Sky Burial. The purpose of calling you here has just been told to you. Just to reveal a little bit, it won't be long before the reform will begin, so you have to be prepared. Reform. Yamato nodded, somewhat confused. According to Kakashi Senpai's advice, I have already collected all the information of Anbu Ninja. Besides, I am also paying attention to Anbu's recent troubles. You should know everything else, but I'm afraid it's a bit difficult to do just one thing. With some embarrassment, he glanced at the boy who was wielding a knife on the field. At the age of the minister, I am afraid that Accountant Anbu's compatriots have some opinions. In fact, what Yamato said was very euphemistic. All come out to mix. Sitting on a knife and licking blood in Anbu is already very depressing. Who would be convinced to be disciplined by a child? Even if your credit is sufficient, your qualifications cannot be concealed by credit. Age sucks. Yamato let out a long sigh. If you want to implement reforms on this basis, it is inevitable that you will hit a nail. Hopefully, it won't be a mess by then. Let you sort out the information is what all meant. Kakashi shook his head, correcting Yamato's mistake. Sky Burial, remember, from today onwards, the nature of Anbu will fundamentally change. And the Xiao who contributed to all this is the well-deserved Minister Anbu and someone I respect. Kakashi Senpai, respected person. Well, I don't need to say more, you can see the extraordinary man with your own eyes. All in all, he's a man who really has that distinctive charisma. I am convinced that he is Minister of Anbu. Distinctive leadership qualities. That's what Kakashi said about the 8 swords. Whenever you see this man in front of you, you always feel relieved. You can always trust Yi Bajian. That is a comrade in arms who can really hand over his back to the opponent. Maybe the first time you see the 8 swords, the first impression is that of the unscrupulous and free and easy sword. Taking a sip from time to time, everything seems so casual. Only after getting used to it, you will understand that this kind of person is so reliable when he is serious. This is the distinctive leadership temperament, which belongs to the unique personality charm of Yi Bajian. Treating the enemy ruthlessly like a real lunatic, it is hard to imagine that the roar like a ghost came from the throat of a teenager. Holding the knife, he is a beast. Treat yourself and make no secret of your enthusiasm. In short, being his shadow is the most correct thing I have done over the years, and I am willing to do so. And I, too, believe he can do things like change Anbu, and even change Konoha. What makes Kakashi Senpai admire a person so much? Yamato looked at the boy on the field in confusion. He understands Kakashi's senior's character very well. He is a typical cold on the outside and hot on the inside. It's not that he doesn't make more friends, but he is afraid that he will become more autistic because he can't protect his companions. It takes strength alone to make Kakashi Senpai make such an evaluation. Whoosh whoosh. While Yamato was thinking, from the forest, several figures flew by and landed on the field. But obviously, Bajian, who was addicted to swinging his sword, didn't want to stop. Let the person wearing the mask beside him show strange eyes. Whoosh whoosh. The arrival of several people seems to be some kind of signal, and countless figures appear in the training ground. The collection begins. A unique collection order belonging to Anbu. Whether there is a task or not, it must appear in the specified location. A muster order that will not be used unless there is an emergency. There were only a few people cultivating on the field. Although they were amazed at their way of cultivating, they just stood there quietly and waited because of Anbu's unique basic qualities. It seems that something big will happen today. As time passed by, the number of galloping people began to decrease. The field, the densely packed Anbu ninjas waited for several people who were practicing. These include former acting minister Shinku Yuhi. The sudden presence of so many spectators did not affect the speed at which Itachi and Shisui threw their shuriken. But the sweaty Eight Swords still felt unsatisfied, and he hooked his fingers at Kakashi in the distance. Is it to me? Kakashi nodded and joined the practice. No one can be successful casually. In addition to their outstanding personal strength, the Yishao team's strong and tacit cooperation was honed in real battles. And the way to maintain this tacit understanding is daily practice. With the addition of Kakashi, the number of flying shuriken has increased again. Every time the blade light of the Eight Swords flashed, the scalps of the ninjas present went numb. Is this the way humans cultivate? I am afraid that if you are not careful, no matter who you are, you will be shot into a sieve, right? Really? They have never seen this kind of practice that uses the speeding shuriken as volleyball. It's hard to imagine how much impact this would have on them. Everyone is silent. They are even a little curious about how long the few people on the field can last. Is this the Night Owl squad? It's too strong. Shinku Yuhi had a wry smile on his face. At this moment, he seemed to know what Hachiken wanted to do. The first step for people to recognize the identity of the minister is strength. Without absolute strength, why lead Anbu? Jian sang. No way, I can't stand it anymore. I don't know how long it took. Itachi's tired voice came. The next moment, Shisui and Kakashi quickly retreated, and the shuriken in the air was knocked out by Hachiken for the last time. Ding ding ding. The sharp-edged voice came, and the surrounding ninjas were shocked to find that those shuriken were nailed to the bullseye on the tree poles accurately. How did he do it? The second. Code wording for a long time. Chapter 82 No one can point fingers at my people. Clang. Zanpakuto inserted into the ground. The wine gourd around his waist was held high and went to the jar in his mouth. At this moment, the ninjas admired the young man's boldness in drinking. Such a free and easy demeanor is exactly what they envy, but it is difficult to achieve. Phew. Putting down the wine gourd, Bajian looked around. Be sure, Anbu's ninjas have been stunned. And this is the result he wants. Introduce yourself. Leaning on the knife, Bajian's slightly immature voice was extremely loud. Eight Swords of the Night. Code-named Owl, Yi Xiao's member questioned. Starting today, he is also your immediate boss. Konoha's only minister of Anbu. Minister Anbu. When these words came out of the boy's mouth, the whole training ground was silent. Through countless masks, you can, 160, to see the restless hearts of ninjas. Shocked, puzzled, dazed. All kinds of emotions surround them deep inside. The news of Bajian's appointment has not been fully spread in Anbu, and it is normal that some people do not know about it. But at this moment, no one dared to question the identity of the other party. The brutal cultivation method alone is enough to make them shut up their doubts. However, Bajian understands that this kind of shock is different from real control. To completely subdue Anbu, what is needed is not only strength, but a real change in Anbu's ninja status. I called everyone here today, and I have 3 things to say. First, Anbu's rectification. The specific plans and measures will be released to you later, but I can reveal some of them in advance. Still leaning on Zanpakuto, Bajian took out a document from his pocket. For example, starting from today, those who are disabled due to performing tasks will be in charge of everything after returning to the village. Konoha will be responsible for all life after returning to the village. Those killed in action, their families and children, will receive 3 times the previous pension, and their names will be engraved on the meritorious wall that is being built in the center of the village. Up. In addition, if you set up a penultimate contributor, it will also be engraved on the merit wall. In short, it is. Reaching out his hand, Bajian pointed to the sky. You are no longer unknown. Instead, you are heroes who are admired by the villagers. His ears moved slightly, Bajian had a smile on his face, and he had heard the rapid breathing. But this is just the beginning. Second, the entire department is directly under my command. Except for me and the 4th generation Hokage Namikaze Minato, no one else's orders will be followed. This time, they will not be followed in the true sense. The boy's sonorous words made the Anbu ninja's eyes widen. Anbu understands that Anbu ninja is said to be a direct unit of Hokage, but its status is not even as good as that of ordinary ninjas from some big families. Even, some high-ranking people will be dispatched outside their residences to act as housekeepers. Very simple example. Had seen that the 2 Hokage advisors dared to point fingers at Anbu's ninjas, and even arranged some tasks without compensation. He doesn't want to see this phenomenon again. You don't have to have any doubts about this. From now on, whenever someone points fingers, they report directly to me. Anbu, it's Anbu from Konoha, it's Anbu from Hokage, it's my Anbu, it's not someone else's turn to show off their power, and there is no reason to be a hero who can even sacrifice their lives for the sake of the village. Dog. The second point is to improve the status of Anbu ninja. Exactly what these people really need. Recognition, belonging. Sure enough, after the 8 swords were finished, even many of Anbu's ninja eyes turned to Yuhi. They have waited too long for this recognition. Thirdly, Anbu does not support idlers or waste, and adopts the elimination system from today, and conducts assessments every quarter. The content of the assessment is the number of tasks completed, the level of the task, the attitude of being an Anbu ninja, and of course, the most important thing is strength. However, in terms of combat power, Anbu will set up other internal departments because everyone has different talents. As long as you are good enough, you don't have to worry about being eliminated. I'll leave that to Yuhi Shinku Yuhi Senpai. Looking at Shinku Yuhi, the 8 swords seem to be pointing. As Anbu's senior, Shinku Yuhi's prestige is still very high, so there is no reason for Hachiken to let him go. And this third article also requires people to implement specific policies. Just like what he said, Anbu does not need waste and non-aggressive waste, and from now on, he will build a real elite assassination special forces, a veritable elite. The name of Anbu ninja is no longer Chinese cabbage. Anyone who wants to experience can enter. Assessment is an extremely necessary link, which can give these people a real sense of urgency. Glory is earned with both hands, not mixed. My subordinate understands. Shinku Yuhi nodded, and there was no ambiguity in what his subordinates said. Because, these 3 points alone are enough to make him admire the 5 bodies. The boy in front of him has completely grasped what the Anbu ninjas want. This subordinate, he called it willingly. Oh, by the way, I remember that there were 376 Anbu ninjas recorded in the book. I just checked it, and a total of 350 people came. Seemingly thinking of something, Bajian tilted his head to look at Yamato. Sky Burial, go back and tell those people that they won't have to go to Anbu from tomorrow onwards. Yamato nodded embarrassedly. He understood the mentality of the person who didn't come, and he probably just didn't like the newly appointed Minister Anbu in front of him. But no matter what, Anbu's ninjas are also ninjas. As a ninja, just ignoring the collection makes this one can be eliminated directly. Just resigning the other party's post is already light. In addition, about the quick selection when performing tasks. Zanpakuto, Bajian yawned. As Minister Anbu, I don't want anyone in my team to abandon their comrades for the mission, or deliberately frame their comrades for the mission. If found, I will chop his body with my own hands. The terrifying Reiatsu and murderous aura swept through the entire training ground in an instant. Anbu's forbearance 3.5 fans were already soaked in cold sweat. A young man, where did such a terrifying aura come from? Even just holding up a knife can make them truly hear the screams of the evil spirits. Flat cut feature, the soul of the dead under the knife was successfully activated. This trick is really useful. Appropriate shock and deterrence is beneficial to one's own dominion. 8 Swords are very clear about this. Can you scare people just by showing them their training? Forget it, this is not a child's game. We will gather at the same time tomorrow to start the first round of assessment tests. I will personally guide the training of swordsmanship for those who pass, and they will all go back and prepare well. There will be a collective mission in a month. This mission, you have the qualification to engrave your name on the merit wall. Disperse. The third. Code wording. Chapter 83 3 Generations of Adults, please rest well. Too deceiving. Boom. The sound of the desk shattering came from the room. In Kumogakure village, in the office of Yingying, looking at the irritable eye, Azabui sighed. She had long imagined that this would be the result when she came back. To be honest, this is the first time Kumogakure has suffered such a huge humiliation in terms of diplomacy. Konoha's toughness caught Azabui, the Reikage secretary, off guard. Even, the negotiating team can come back safely, it is already fortunate. This is something I never imagined before I set off. Deceiving too much. Really deceiving too much. Clenching his fists tightly, there was only anger on Ai's face. Go to war. Assemble people to go to war. The style of Kumogakure village has never been won. That is the main battle. Without any hesitation, I turned back to Mabui in an instant. The meaning was obvious, let her issue an order to gather combat power. Lord Reikage, you should know that going to war is not the right choice for us. Mabui was a little helpless. On the way, she thought about how to explain these 04 situations. Now that the third ninja war has been completely stopped, it does not mean that other ninja villages will not start the war. Don't forget the attitude Tsuchikage had when he left. Remind Reikage, and let him calm down, that's what Reikage's secretary should do and it's her duty. The most important thing is that right now I'm afraid you can't really beat Konoha on your own. With a wry smile, Mabui told a very cruel truth. Yes, the Kumogakure village has always been united, but there are only a few high-end fighting forces in total. If Killer Bee is not injured, at least the power of the EPUB combination can be exerted. But right now, it's impossible to get Killer Bee moving for more than a month. No fault can be found, but it is extremely weak. That kid's methods are terrifying. On the other hand, Konoha, the existence of Yellow Flash has always been a threat. If he goes to the battlefield in person, then Lord Reikage will definitely be contained. This is not good news for them. In addition, the Kingdom of the Land and the Land of the Land have never been against each other. Once the loss of Kumogakure village is too large, Iwagakure village will definitely attack the first time. Then Sengoku will be on fire again. In any way, this is extremely dangerous. To war doesn't do Kumogakure any good. I understand, but this breath, the old man can't swallow it. Being able to become a shadow of a village, Ai is not just relying on himself, but the identity of the son of 3 generations of needy shadows. After his anger, he also understood that it was not good for Kumogakure to go to war now. At this moment, it is very similar to when he learned that his father, in order to cover the retreat of his companions, faced tens of thousands of Iwagakure village ninjas alone, and finally died of exhaustion. When he heard the news that year, he also held a fire and wanted to fight the village of Iwagakure. But at that time, the Third Ninja World War had just broken out, and all ninja villages were targeted only by Konoha. So he still had to endure that tone. The situation was the same as it was then. Do you have any good advice? Shang Fei. Taking a deep breath, I finally calmed down at this moment. At least until the Killer Bee people recover, we are seriously underpowered and must not start a war. 24 Fei, but Erwei also can't stay in Konoha forever, otherwise they will always use Erwei as a prestige. In our Kumogakure village, there is no way to turn the situation around. After speaking, she took out a scroll from Kabuto and placed it on the table. Lord Raikage, this was delivered when we were leaving Konoha. I think that's where the opportunity lies. Real. Raikage nodded, his body was surging with thunder, and he needed to escape the chakra mode and was ready. The enemy's scroll, whether it is true or false, must be on guard. Just after slowly opening it, Raikage suddenly smiled. Looking at the clearly visible deployment map above and the method of entering a certain barrier, he had to. That's what I admire about Konoha. Gone. Different atmosphere from Raikage office in Kumogakure village. Konoha, Hokage building. Minato looked at the report in front of him with only relief and admiration in his eyes. His decision was right. Anbu is developing in a positive direction in an all-round way. He quietly went to the training ground to see it before, and he was worried that he would not be able to convince the public because of the age of Bajian, but it turned out that he thought too much. Now, the spirit of the whole Anbu is completely different from before, and he is following his disciples to complete various assessment tests on the training ground. Bajian did not disappoint him. The current Anbu is the real Anbu, everything, just let him do it. He believed that given Bajian time, a real elite force would appear in front of him. Raising his head, Minato suddenly froze. The old man at the door surprised him. Since the last popular incident of cattle at the entrance of the village, the 3 generations have not taken the initiative to come to the Hokage office. And he was used to the feeling of working by himself. No one is pointing fingers. No one breathes secondhand smoke. He liked that feeling. I also like watching the village change a little bit. But now, he's here again, without knocking on the door like the others to get confirmation before coming in. Minato. Walking into the office, Sarutobi involuntarily lit the big cigarette bag again. Anbu, what happened? With a scowl on his face, Sarutobi went straight to the point. The past few days, his house has been broken down by 2 Hokage consultants. There is only one thing to find him. Let him take care of the arrogant Minato, and the arrogant Anbu. To be honest, the 3 generations do not want to come. Retirement at home, nothing to drink tea, fish, this kind of old age life is not bad. 663 But no way. Unable to hold back the grumbling of the 2 former old buddies, he could only come here to ask about the situation. What happened to Anbu? Minato smiled at this. Menyan told me that Anbu's people actually disobeyed his orders. Sarutobi seemed a little puzzled, but the tone of his voice was somewhat natural. 3 generations of adults, Anbu's organizational quality is Hokage's direct troops. On the contrary, only Hokage can give them orders. Of course, in addition to me, the current Anbu can also have 8 swords. So what you said about disobeying orders doesn't exist. Minato shook his head, his tone was polite, but not the slightest bit wrong. On the contrary, it was the 2 Hokage consultants who broke the rules. They don't have the power to bypass Bajian and me to give orders to Anbu. In front of you. 3 generations of Hokage's eyes were full of surprise. He never thought that Minato could say such a thing. Also, showing a warm smile like sunshine again, Little Sun's unique stunt was successfully activated. 3 generations of adults, I think. You are very old, you should have a good rest. Right. 4th more. Code word ing, egg hurts, the painkiller is over, the headache starts again, the code word is a little slower, hope. Adult readers can understand. Chapter 84 The Madmen of Anbu. Reach out and don't hit the smiling man. But what the smiling man said was very disturbing. Are you old? You should rest well when you are old. How obvious is the meaning of Minato's words. 3 generations don't know how they got home from the Hokage building. There is loss, but more of melancholy. It seems that the village no longer needs him so much. Strange though. Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado have been visiting his house a lot recently, but his old friend Danzo has never appeared. It stands to reason that this kind of reform measures of Anbu, his opinion should be the biggest. But Danzo chose to be silent. Kind of weird. Shaking his head, Sarutobi took a sip of tea. I'm old. Have a good rest. Okay, there really is your Minato. I am Konoha's strongest Hokage. Swish swish. Konoha number 7 training ground. Bajian stood on the familiar tree, followed by an envious Itachi. Below, the ninjas are carrying out special training in an orderly manner. Special training guidance from the lunatics of the Night Owl Squad. Just knife. Bajian has his own unique experience in swordsmanship. Well, flat cut. But again, if you can only do one thing, make it the best. Even ordinary flat cutting is an art. Angle, speed, force. What kind of posture can give full play to the effect of flat cutting, and what kind of force can be used the most? Small stamina consumption maximizes the power of the flat cut. These are the essence of the master who has been trained for a long time by swinging the sword. Knife instruction is just one of them. What is going on now is to demonstrate how Shisui can see through demonic illusion effectively and quickly. There are how to improve the use of demonic illusion in this regard. Shisui is the master level. Kakashi's mission is somewhat unique. Don't look at Kakashi's age now, but he has a lot of experience and is a lot of Anbu old people. There are 197 D-level missions, 190 C-level missions, 414 B-level missions, and A-level missions. 298 times. S-class 1000 tasks, 42 times. The completion of all tasks recorded by the full version of Kakashi in the original book. Now, it's not too bad. For Kakashi, the missions are basically death and danger, and even the reason for his darkness. But these valuable experiences are extremely valuable assets for other ninjas. When performing the mission, it is likely that it will save him directly because of a small detail. Their lives. So, this kind of real teaching is an indispensable part of a good ninja. And using his own experience to help the younger generation, Kakashi is also happy to do so. Especially looking at those adoring eyes, Kadian feels that the meaning of life exists, and seems to be looking for it. Arrive. All this was changed by the 8 swords. The Nightingale squad was busy, only Itachi was a little lonely. He is the same period as Bajian. But it doesn't have the terrifying swordsmanship of 8 swords, and even demonic illusion can't compare to Shisui. Clack. The fingers point to a familiar location. Itachi covered his forehead and turned Byakugan. This is the trick again. Every time he is a little confused, this trick can make him wake up again. It hurts, Jianzhang. Covering his forehead, he sat on the branch and complained. How old are you? It's not easy to have such strength. Hachiken sighed and sat beside Itachi. The Uchiha family is a bit peculiar. When the Mangekyo blooms, its strength will skyrocket. But the Itachi age is here, and it is unrealistic to drive Mangekyo. Rao is so, he has worked extremely hard to follow behind him to cultivate. This persistence is enough to make people move. And even the current Itachi, the strength is still not bad. In addition to the slightly insufficient chakra due to age, other aspects, whether it is shuriken or ninjutsu, even demonic illusion, is no match for any chunin. That's it, he's not satisfied. Bajian understood that the figure standing in front of him was a little tall, and it was normal to feel the pressure. But if it's autistic because of this, it's not like Itachi. But Jianzhang, you are clearly the same age as me. Itachi's mouth twitched for a while. The current 8 swords is a typical idol in his eyes. His knife is invincible. Stupid, everyone's talents are different. You and Shisui belong to the Uchiha clan. Sharingan's powerful. You will realize it sooner or later. There is no need to worry. Rubbing Itachi's head, Ba-Jonshin stood up with the opponent. When the strength is enough, it will be your turn to stand in front of me. So, before you get stronger, leave everything to me. Do you understand? When you are strong enough, you can stand in front of me. When Itachi heard this sentence, his eyes were filled with light for a moment. No, that doesn't belong in philosophy. 60-year-olds understand the philosophy of shit, it's just pure friendship. It is enough to compare the friendship between Sasuke and Naruto. _IC, Jianzhang. It's over now, I'm going to listen to Kakashi-san's lecture. Nodding heavily at Hachiken, Itachi jumped off the branch and walked towards Kakashi, who was spitting in the distance. Is this a promise with Jianzhang? One day, it will be my turn to stand in front of you. You get the shit. 8 swords turned by Akugan. If you have to drive a Gundam before you are old enough to drive a Gundam, can you stand it with your small physique? Shaking his head and grabbing the wine gourd, Bajian sighed. Do not know why. He found. Life doesn't seem to be bad now. Not too far from the kind he wants, confidant 2 or 3, and Yuhi Yan's company. Swish. A figure fell next to the 8 swords. The first time I found out that demonic illusion used too much, it was quite tiring. The wine gourd of 8 swords, Shisui shook his head and hiccuped. However, it's a very fulfilling day. The companions are working hard in one direction, there is no intrigue, and there is no war. The cruelty of the field. Yes, it's just the admiration of the younger generation. He really likes this feeling. Maybe, I am suitable to be a teacher. A smirk, Shisui suddenly thought of something. Bajian, what do you mean by the collective mission you said earlier? The only thing I don't understand is the mission that Bajian said. What kind of mission? Requires everyone from Anbu to go out together and even have a special training towel before departure. Of course, what he cares most about is the meritorious wall that has been built in the center of Konoha village. Do you have a chance to go up? Bajian said that if this task is completed well, personal contribution will be written on it. The face was clearly seen by the villagers. Nothing to do with vanity. Just want that glory. That's all. 5th. Code wording. Chapter 85. Please wash your neck and wait for me. A collective mission. So you were curious about this. After thinking about it, Heiken felt that there was no need to hide anything from Shisui. He had already thought about the content of the task. He took out a map from his pocket and spread it out, and the lines marked with Yuhi-colored and blue pens caught Shisui's attention. Yuhi's color is the nails left by the hostile ninja village after the Third Ninja War in the Land of Fire. The Third Ninja War is definitely over. However, Bajian knew exactly why this war was fought. 4 major ninja villages attacked Konoha at the same time, and the fire in the Country of Fire continued. Even if it was over, the other party also left something that was not visible on the surface. That is a nail hidden in the territory, a pawn to explore the powerful intelligence of the hostile ninja village in the future. And the blue ones are the bombs I want to plant in hostile countries. I named this mission, Purge. Retracting the map, Bajian leaned against the tree pole and stretched. Pull out the nails, bury the nails. Do something meaningful. By the way, this is the mission plan for this time. For this mission, he wanted to let other shinobi villages know that a unit completely different from their village was growing rapidly. Bajian, will this expose our elite troops? Frowning, Shisui voiced his concerns. What I want is exposure. 450. 8 swords patted Shisui on the shoulder. Remember Shisui, Konoha won the Third Ninja War, but the price paid is unimaginable, and the more this time, the stronger we have to show. It's so strong that other villages think we don't have any consumption at all. Only in this way will they be vigilant, they will be wary, and they will be careful before targeting Konoha. And this mission is just the first test of the water. I don't know how far it can be done. After all, it is the first time to carry out a collective mission, and the plan is a plan, but he is not clear about the effect after implementation. This is also to give the guys in Anbu a chance to perform and remove the dross that exists in Anbu by the way. Again, he only needs to be elite. Off the chain at a critical moment is not worthy of being in his Anbu. As expected of you. Think so clearly. Shisui nodded in admiration. He already understood this task, and squeezed his fist. Shisui had a faint expectation. Will those people feel uneasy when they learn that there is a powerful assassination force in Konoha? Night falls. Anbu's one-day special training has ended. Walking on the streets of Konoha, feeling the warm night wind, Bajian is a little emotional. Maybe when he first came to this world through time travel, he really didn't have the feeling he has now. Thought that he would become a real part of Konoha's Minister Anbu. All thanks to the trust of Minato. Nobody doesn't like the feeling of being trusted. Eight Swords is no exception. But to his surprise, Minato changed as Hokage because of his presence. From the beginning, it was suppressed by 3 generations. To the current strength, he looks more and more like Hokage. It was also his change that gave Bajian a different view of the village. This change is not completed in an instant, but a chain reaction condensed bit by bit to produce cattle. Maybe everything from Minato firmly agreeing to his graduation application, and then to the entrance of Anbu to block him. In front of him, it was already doomed that it will be hard for snakes to come first. Eight Swords shook his head. The beginning, he did intend to leave Konoha and live freely in the ninja world. It is estimated that Orochimaru is still waiting for him to defect. Well, step by step. Maybe one day, when he gets tired, Minister Anbu will go to Orochimaru to play. Unfortunately, not now. Sky, the moon is still beautiful tonight, like Otsutsuki Kagaya's fair skin. Exudes a seductive light. Speaking of which, when Naruto comes out, the main line of the Hokage world will begin. The story of Black Zetsu saving his mother is touching. Unfortunately, I don't want to live in a fake dream of infinite Tsukuyomi. Huh. On the way home, AEFF raised his eyebrows when someone was thinking. In one direction, open. To the east of Konoha, hidden from the forest, several people appeared there. The one at the head looked tall and mighty. The ninja next to him was quickly hand-seal, and finally put his hand on the scroll he was carrying. Really opened. I didn't expect Konoha's barrier to be so vulnerable. Another ninja whispered. Nonsense, if you have the key and can't open it, don't mess with the seal class. The ninja who opened the barrier sneered. Okay, follow the map and avoid the patrols. 5 ninja villages, each ninja village will open a defensive barrier for its own village. It is also because of the existence of the barrier that those ninjas who break into the village without permission have nothing to hide. Only with the corresponding key can you enter without disturbing others. So is Konoha. But now, the key to the enchantment has leaked. Several figures came in from inside, hiding a good breath, and slowly advancing by taking advantage of the night. But not long after walking, the expression of the perception ninja in the team changed. Here comes. In the empty woods, the figure of Bajian appeared slowly. Name of Zanpakuto, Zipping didn't find anything unusual. Just a kid. It seems that some kind of signal has been received, and a kunai emits a faint light under the brilliance of the moonlight. But before he could attack, the sharp knife had already slashed across his neck. Swish swish. Ah! The figure flickered continuously, and the screams suddenly sounded. After a few seconds, several corpses appeared on the ground. Do you know why I didn't kill you? Holding the neck of the ninja in front of him with one hand, Bajian had the bloodthirsty killing intent of an undead human on his face. No, don't know. The strong sense of oppression made his nerves extremely tense, and the hands on his neck made him feel like iron pliers. Cannot breath. Because, I want you to tell me something. You see if I can't cut him into a jerk, go back and tell Rakage, wash his neck etc. The face is full of ridicule, and the teenager tilts his head. Boom. Ray bomb. Boom. The ground trembled, and a tall figure appeared on the spot. And his feet have been smashed by a powerful force, not a small pothole. Little devil, the old man has heard it. The body needs light flashing, at this moment, needs the shadow with endless killing intent. All I want is for you to hear. Gaba. With one hand, the 8 swords shattered the ninja's spine under Rakage's furious gaze. Lord Rakage, does this sound good? 6th more. I'm feeling really sick today, sorry for making readers wait so late. I'm so sorry. The 6th update has been delivered, and it will be updated earlier tomorrow. Chapter 86 Sword 80% 20. Materialized Reiatsu Defense. Gaba. That's the only fragility that remains when life is gone. The sound hit Rakage's heart. The original plan went well. With the Fire Country and Konoha defense map, the team did not accidentally cross the barrier of the Fire Country and came to Konoha. At this moment, he has fully confirmed that the enchantment key recorded on the scroll is real. Then just sneak into Niyugito's location without knowing it, and bring her back to Kumogakure village. In order to complete the task, the people who followed him to Konoha were carefully selected elites. Needless to say, the others who had the ability to hide their breath were definitely the top of the Kumogakure village platoon. Even, because of the importance of the task, he personally took the shot. But even so, there is still a problem. The young man in front of him shot fiercely, hitting his iconic big knife and the wine gourd around his waist. Then, the identity of the other party has been revealed. Is he Bajian? The Konoha demon who killed his righteous brother Killer Bee and kidnapped Niyugito. Konoha demon. Kumogakure village's unanimous name for the boy in front of him. Only by actually seeing the tragic state of the bodies of the escorts in Kumogakure village will you understand where the name came from. Killing with a knife, either dismembering the body or beheading, the cruelty of the method is definitely not something a child can do. That's what the devil does. Little devil, you are Bajian. The lightning surges on his body, and he needs to adapt to the armor that needs to be escaped in chakra mode, which is particularly bright in the night. If you know my name, how dare you commit a crime? Zanpakuto, Bajian tilted his head and spit out 8 words. The corners of his mouth twitched, and the face of Yingying was unnatural. He was stunned. Who gave you the courage to say such a thing? Now that you know my name, how dare you commit a crime? Even Konoha's contemporary Hokage Namikaze Minato would never speak like that. Do you think you are the original Hokage Senju Hashirama? However, this is Konoha's territory after all. I just used mind bombs myself, I guess it has attracted the attention of the other party. And most importantly, it does not rule out that the key obtained from Mabuyi before is a trap that the other party deliberately left for him to drill. This kid in front of him is a team from Kumogakure village that he discovered by accident, or whether he has been squatting here in advance, and whether there are other fighting forces of Konoha around him, he does not know. Originally, the attack failed when he just came out, and Rakage planned to retreat first. Although he despised Konoha's cowardice in his heart, the village is different now, and Namikaze Minato alone is already difficult to deal with, and it would be dangerous to stay here. But when he heard these 8 words, his temper instantly rose. Little devil, don't underestimate the need for shadows. With the thunder on his body, I made another plan. Use the fastest speed to kill Yabajian in front of you, and then leave. He is Rakage. Boom. The ground under his feet shattered in an instant, and the explosive force made Rakage's body rush towards the 8 like a missile. Speed is the capital of the shadows to eat. Underestimate Rakage. 8 swords never fly. On the contrary, he attaches great importance to each other. The opponent's strength is also the strongest he has ever encountered. There is no doubt about that. Uchiha Obito. His Kamui is really strong, but his needs are different. Everything he does depends on his own hard power. It is a well-deserved cage level. Of course, Bajian doesn't look down on Obito, whether it's pupil technique or various abilities. Own matter. It is the first time that Bajian has encountered a tough man. He can feel it just from the opponent's aura, and the need for shadow is even better than Killer Bee, who is not completely tailed. Even stronger. Clang. The simple and rude hand knife directly slashed at the 8 swords, and the 8 swords did not hesitate to slash Zanpakuto in an instant. Putting it in front of him blocked the blow. Boom. The surrounding air was violently stagnant, and the rustling of gold and iron rubbing against Zanpakuto made the scalp tingle. And Bajian's body also flew upside down for more than 10 meters before stopping. This fellow is so powerful. Shaking his numb arm, Bajian licked his lips that were a little chapped because of the boiling blood. Raikage with a knife in one hand, the surging fighting intent and the madness in his eyes poured out in an instant. Come to fight. This time, he chose to take the initiative to attack. Light blue chakra appeared on Zanpakuto, and strands of black aura emanated from the blade. 2 flat cutting features are activated on the spot. Swish. The sword aura where gold and black intersected instantly cut out. The Reiatsu representing destruction changed Raikage's expression. According to Killer Bee, it's this kind of sword chi that makes him weak. But if it's this speed, it can't hit me. Whoosh. The figure disappeared instantly. In Raiden Thunder style chakra mode, his speed has been increased to ultimate. In just an instant, he appeared before the slashing effect of the 8 swords could be exerted. Behind the boy. Little devil, your life is ended by this old man. Legendary level Chio dance. The hand knife went from top to bottom, catching its own weight and smashing it down. At this moment, Raikage burst with confidence. No one can react at this speed. That's the reason for his confidence. Even the 4th generation of Hokage will not work. That time Namikaze Minato won the AB combination because of File. God's seal has already been prepared in advance. But to lose is to lose, and Raikage never makes excuses. Boom. Shaking more violently than before, the ground completely collapsed all day long. As Raikage wanted to see, this blow hit the boy's back hard. Smoke is everywhere. The roaring thunder and lightning flashed through the entire Kongolan under the moonlight, and when the chaos passed, a voice came slowly. Hey, it hurts. Hum. The golden light soared into the sky. The space trembled, and the leaves that occasionally floated overhead turned into powder in an instant. It is completely different from Chakra's life energy that can create all things, this pressure from the soul. Raikage stared blankly. What is this ability? Why haven't I seen it before? On the young man in front of him, a golden skull seemed to be roaring fiercely at him. When the progress of the materialized spiritual pressure defense reaches 20% of the first template of the 8 swords, you can finally use this trick to strengthen. Tough defense. The super strong spiritual pressure released on the body surface turned into a huge skull shape, covering itself like an entity. Stay away from all attacks from the outside world. This kind of defense is extremely hot. Once the outside attack touches, its spiritual child will be burned out. This kind of defense. It can compete with Broken Dao, 96 and 1 knife cremation. The current 8 swords spiritual pressure has not yet reached the level of strength of the Zengi Kenpachi, but this move is powerful. Huge, has begun to emerge. Come on, fight. The next moment, the roaring golden skull slammed into the shadow in front of him. The increasingly fierce battle began. First more. Code word in Billy and G. Chapter 87. This time, I will never be late. The real battle begins. Only a beast can fight another beast. A blue beast that develops the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode into the ultimate body with electric surging, and a skeleton monster surrounded by golden light. When two guys who are also not human-like collide together. Boom. Annihilation. The surrounding trees were instantly engulfed in Reiatsu and chakra and turned into shreds. This kid. Zanpakuto's forward path was blocked by the special material metal bracers on his arms. There was anger and doubt in Reikage's eyes. What is the heart-pounding energy this kid carries? Kekkei Genkei. Or a blood elimination above Kekkei Genkei? Whatever it was, he had no time to think about it. The big movement just now definitely alarmed Konoha's patrol team. If they were surrounded by 1-0, it might be difficult to break through. The opponent must be resolved as soon as possible. Boom. The electricity that was originally wrapped around his body suddenly became more violent, and even Reikage's hair began to stand upside down. Ultimate for Raiden Thunder Style Chakra Mode. In the original Killer Bee called Reikage's full strength state. In this state, his speed is so fast that even Sharingan can't see clearly, and he can even dodge the pupil technique Amaterasu in an instant. Little devil, although I don't know what your golden energy is, I guess this is already your heyday. Unfortunately, in the chakra escape mode at full strength, you will definitely die. Completely liberating all the power, I firmly squeezed Zanpakuto's blade. The other hand has been raised high and began to charge. Grab his knife, and he won't be able to use that terrifying slash. The battle between ninjas and ninjas, the importance of intelligence is reflected in this. If it wasn't for Killer Bee's fighting experience with the opponent, he would probably have relied on his strong physical fitness to regret the opponent's swordsmanship. But now, everything is in the master. Ended. It seems that in Ai's opinion, no one can resist the knife that he holds high in the state of his full strength. Looking up at the arm in the air, Bajien suddenly laughed wildly. After the laughter, the pupils of the boy gradually contracted, and a yuhi-colored light gradually penetrated from the pupils to the entire eye socket. Breathing gradually increased. The atmosphere became even more depressing. Full of wild instincts, I felt a little uneasy. Have you seen my heyday? Definitely not, because if you ever saw it, you would never hold my knife like that. In an instant, the black spiritual pressure penetrated from the golden materialized spiritual pressure defense and covered the entire blade. The second template, virtual white. A call from instinct. As if I could feel Zanpakuto's restrained anger, the black Reiatsu exploded like a missile the moment Reikage's hand came down. Ah! A scream and a violent shaking were passed around. Bah! A rough arm fell from the air in front of Bajien. And the owner of the arm is standing a short distance away, panting and horrified. If it wasn't for his speed to escape the disaster just now, then it was his body that was cut off. No one can slam my knife. Danzo has sent someone to try it. Too bad Reikage didn't know about it. Holding Zanpakuto aloft, he pointed at Reikage, who had lost an arm and was injured. Although in the original 5 shadow talks because of Sasuke's Amaterasu, Reikage himself cut off his arm very manly, but the current situation is not the same as it was then. This is Zanpakuto. It's not just the body and soul. Consciousness is a little confusing. Why does it always feel like a ghost crying in the dark scene around? What's with this uncomfortable feeling all over the body? It was as if something was eating some invisible energy within him. The special second of the King of Flat Slash, the Soul Eater, was successfully activated. The dead soul under the knife and the soul harvesting double chin effect. Now, it's just that kind of discomfort. In a few hits, what you lose is your soul. He is the king of flat cutting, swinging the knife is his strongest move. Is that what Killer Bee feels like? Don't lie in bed all the time. If this kind of slash really hits too many times, I'm afraid even he can't beat him. It seems that there is no way to kill this kid today. When the tactic of suppressing the opponent's knife and inflicting heavy damage failed, he has lost the opportunity. Although confident, here is Konoha. Must go. Li Guangshun and Yingying's eyes were filled with annoyance, and finally glanced at the arm that fell in front of Bajian and snorted and turned to leave. Hey, Konoha is not a place where you can come and go when you want. Bajian still didn't move, but he calmly took out a strange sharp blade from his arms and injected it into chakra, and then threw it in front of Killer Bee. You can't keep up with me, or do you think your poor caliber can't break through my armor? I's head doesn't even know. Kulu sticks straight into the ground in front of him along his ear. I can't catch up for the time being, but he can. With one hand in a handjob stance, he snapped his fingers at kunai in front of him. Clack. Psychic. Yellow flash. Boom. A flat roar. A figure instantly appeared on the ground and grabbed the kunai. I swore that this time, no matter where my disciple is, I will never be late. Bajian, am I not late? The gesture is elegant with eagerness, and the voice is so reliable. He appeared. Konoha's fourth-generation Hokage Namikaze Minato. Of course, little son looked a little inappropriately dressed. Minato, who only wore pants and a vest, had bloodshot eyes in his eyes. Obviously he was still asleep a few seconds ago. But when he sensed that the special kunai was delivered to the chakra, he woke up directly, and a teleport came to Kongolan on the outskirts of Konoha. It was just the sight in front of him that made him a little confused. 3.2 His outstanding disciples returned to their previous calm with a knife. On the opposite side of him, the stout muscular man with broken arms looked familiar. 4 generations of rakeage. Split second, Minato clenched his kunai vigilantly, ready to attack. The tacit understanding between master and apprentice does not need to be said too much. The arm on the ground in front of him has already explained what happened. The 4th generation rakeage raided Konoha and was blocked by the 8 swords at the barrier outside the village. It is not far from the center of Konoha. His perception is not strong, so he did not find it. Bajian he, save Konoha again. Catch alive, useful. No unnecessary nonsense. The boy has already rushed straight to the rear of Rakeage with the knife in his hand. At the moment Minato came, the shadow had completely lost the chance to escape. This time is the real end. Second more. Code wording. Chapter 88 The honored names on the Konoha glory wall. Early morning. People in Konoha village got up as usual, but when they came to the central square because of their inner curiosity, they found that the newly built Konoha Meritorious Wall has undergone some changes today. Konoha Glory Merit Wall. It is said that only those who have made penultimate contributions to the village are eligible to be engraved on it. For the difference in the influence of credit, it will be divided into 3 categories. Category 1, Leaders. The hero who founded Konoha, the shadow who has a great influence on Konoha is the first category. The second category, Guardians. You can tell from the name that only those who have contributed to the protection of the village will have the opportunity to go up. The third category, the Monument of Heroic Souls. Similar to the Memorial Tablet, it records the ninjas who sacrificed for the village. The 3 major categories include the basic conditions that should have heroic qualities. Only great ninjas are eligible to be inscribed on it. Before, it was empty. The deeds of the ancestors who paid for Konoha before the statistics. There is no doubt that when this wall came out, it attracted widespread attention from Konoha villagers and ninjas. Who wouldn't want to have their name on this glorious wall? Who else doesn't want to let their younger generation stop and watch when they pass by the merit wall? They can see their name and proudly tell the people around them their heroic deeds. It's just a wall, but the influence is huge, far beyond Minato's imagination. These days he's also worried about whose name should be engraved. But now, there is one more name on it. Knight 8 Swords. Even more surprising is that his name is engraved under the category of Konoha Leader. As a child, how could Hidehei actually appear in that position? But when they saw the event recorded next to the name, only admiration and respect remained in their eyes. He should be here. Knight 8 Swords. Konoha is currently the Minister of Anbu. Graduated from the ninja school at the age of 6, joined Anbu to support the front line in the same year, completed the S-level mission, severely damaged the elite killer bee Jinchuriki column force of the Kumogakure village, and captured the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force for Konoha, ending the border war, gained favorable conditions for the Konoha negotiations. July 1st of the same year, Yingying personally led a team to infiltrate Konoha to cause destruction. Yi Bajian was keenly aware of the enemy's trail and started a fierce battle. This battle, kill 6 Kumogakure Jonin and capture Reikage. Shock. Admire. Sigh. With such a credit, there is nothing wrong with putting his name here. And July 1st, isn't that the night before? This happened when they were asleep. There was no disaster in Konoha, all thanks to the young man of the Wall of Glory. Gratitude. Many simple and kind-hearted villagers, in order to rejoice that they were alive, did not forget to bow respectfully to the merit wall. It's a heartfelt gratitude, without the slightest pretense. And Konoha's hero, Yabajian, also deserves this gift. It was his presence that gave them a good night's sleep. No, maybe it is more appropriate to say that it is because of his existence that I can live well. Hero. Just when the villagers felt that life is really not easy, a hunched figure also stopped to watch this scene in the corner of the square. Konoha Merit Wall. A place full of glory. Pouch, Sarutobi Hiruzen took a sigh of relief. When he was Hokage, why didn't he think of this trick to win people over? People live a lifetime, they will want to do something. For strength, for changing fate, for fame and integrity. And while pursuing these things, if the name can be remembered so respectfully by future generations, even if he dies, there is nothing to regret. Swallowed. Sarutobi suddenly felt that what he lacked was this feeling of being admired. His head and looking at the Hokage office in the distance, he strode over with a fiery glow in his eyes. Your family needs to bring someone in person the night before yesterday. Midarashi's house, the 8 swords who raided Anbu's learning achievements last night finished work and lay down comfortably. Enjoy a soft massage from the little maid on a lounger in the courtyard. In a word, Yugito seems to have adapted to this identity. Learn how to massage. There is a horror called habit. When you get used to doing something, take it for granted. For example, let the owner lie down on his legs to sleep every day, and another example is this kind of massage for people to enjoy. This is the habit of maids. Yugito's little hands trembled slightly when he heard Hachikan's words. Lord Reikage is here, where is it? She mustered up her courage. She thought that she was a ninja of Kumogakure village after all, and it should not be a problem to ask this question. Excessive. Konoha Hospital, in the intensive care unit. Yondan turned his head to rest on Yugito's chin, his eyes full of playfulness. What? Want to go see it? The master has the final say. Cat owners should know that when the cat's tongue rubs the palm of the hand, there is always a very comfortable feeling. Nice maid. Looking back, Bajian lost interest in teasing the other party. The maid is very sensible, at least she understands her identity, which makes Bajian very gratified. Boom, boom, boom. At the door, there was a rhythmic knock on the door. The sensible maid walked over and opened it. The masked Anbu ninja walked in respectfully, without looking at Yugito next to him. That's not what he should be looking at. Recently, the weather in Anbu has completely changed by 170. After their minister captured Reikage, they respected the boy from beginning to end. The real shock, the effect is just beginning. Lord Minister, go now if you have time, Lord Hokage. One knee and saluting Heiken, Anbu ninja said respectfully. Minato-sensei looking for me. With a breath, Bajian nodded. Yeah, it's almost time. Reikage really caught it. He and Minato's tacit cooperation has been cut by Soul Eater. The weak soul Reikage finally fell into a coma and was captured by Zanpakuto, who chopped the soul. Shadow's soul is already incomplete, his arm is completely abolished, and the effect of the dead soul under the knife. If it is equally terrifying, As long as Bajian does not undo the gnawing of those dead souls on Raikage's soul, he has no strength to resist. This is the suppression from the soul, and there is no solution. So, he wasn't worried about Yingying going berserk at Konoha Hospital because he didn't have that ability. But for how to deal with Raikage, it is estimated that Mr. Minato will also have some headaches. I know, I'll be there in a while. Standing up and playing Zanpakuto, Hachiken had a calm smile on his face. Dealing with Raikage, he happens to have an excellent plan. The third. Code word ing, ask for tickets and flowers. Chapter 89 3 Generations of Adults, you can go to the wall, please say your contribution. Konoha. Inside Hokage's office. Looking at the 3 generations of Hokage who were hunched over and smoking, Minato rubbed his temples helplessly. He miscalculated. I thought the other party was coming to him to discuss how Raikage should be handled. Maybe with the experience of 3 generations, some useful strategies will be given. But he was wrong. From the other party's mouth, apart from hearing what he said, Konoha is a village of ceremonies, a village of benevolence, and so on, there is no other nutrition. Etiquette, kindness. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't you mean that you want Konoha to make this matter a big thing, a small thing? Send the shadow back to Kumogakure village and let the other party owe Konoha a favor. Only. My 3rd generation. Etiquette and benevolence, these 2 points you mentioned, are the attitudes that should be taken towards the enemy. Isn't that what you should show to your own people? If Konoha is polite, the village of fraternity will let him go. The next time other shinobi villagers follow Raikage's way to sneak into Konoha, do you want to let them go too? These words are by no means an attitude towards the enemy. Here is the difference between the nature of the enemy and one's own. But it was not the attitude of the 3rd generation that gave Minato a headache. Baijing is now in charge of Konoha, and the most 3 generations can give him his advice. It is up to him to decide how to do it. So those etiquette and benevolence, he will not obey. Konoha was established in the 1st generation, and it should appear on the wall of honor of Konoha, and Nadaime 2nd Sama, in order to protect Konoha's death, should also appear on the wall of honor. They're all Hokage, Minato, all Hokage. It seems that the tone of voice is transferred to the word Hokage, and the 3 generations show a kind and sympathetic tone. The meaning is obvious. Me, Hokage too. So I also want to appear on Konoha's merit wall. The sake of having said that, Sarutobi Hiruzen has nothing to say anymore. The rest just depends on how savvy Minato is. Of course, is Hokage savvy poor? He, Sarutobi Hiruzen, has already said the words here today, and the interface can be ignored. But the face outside, he had to. Anyway, Konoha wanted to see his name on the wall of glory. Even such a picture has already appeared in his mind. In the future, his child will point to his name and tell the companion next to him. See, that's my grandfather. He has done a lot for Konoha, so he's engraved on the Konoha leader's merit wall. He's also the 3rd generation of Konoha's great Hokage. That scene is so exciting. I am a hero. To be sung by the villagers of Konoha village for a lifetime. Really have you, 3 generations of adults. Minato's mouth twitched. To be honest, he hasn't thought about who the names are on the newly built Konoha glory wall. He has been pondering this matter with the people around him. So I haven't engraved other people's names. But Bajian's credit is definitely enough, and it is what he should do as a teacher to give his disciples a sense of presence first. Others, for the time being. That's not to say you don't qualify. This matter can't be rushed. It needs to count the credits of others before it can be properly arranged, at least to be fair, just and open. But the 3 generations in front of him were so anxious, he was a little embarrassed. Give. Others with more credit may have an opinion. No, I'm afraid he won't give up today. Headache. Really headache. Originally, the matter of dealing with the shadows has already been overwhelmed. At this juncture, he really has no experience to manage the glory-offering merit wall. Even his newly promoted assistant Nara Shikaku comes home with dark circles under his eyes every day. How old are you? Can you understand something and distinguish the priority? Obviously now the central point is to use the shadow to get more benefits. You have to worry about putting money on your face. It's okay if you can't help, don't make trouble. These are the words that were held in Minato's stomach. But he really can't say. As the fourth generation, it is appropriate to respect the previous Hokage. If it wasn't necessary, like a special event like Bajian slashing people at the entrance of the village, he didn't want to use the power of Hokage to communicate with the three generations. It can be done, but it is not necessary. For the good of the village is the most important. Ms. Minato. At this moment, the door of the office was pushed open, and Bajian with a big knife walked in with a strange face. He just seemed to hear someone say Hokage, walls or something. When he saw the three generations, the doubts disappeared instantly. Him. That's fine. Seeing Minato's helpless look in his eyes, Bajian nodded calmly. The meaning is obvious, just leave it to him. The third generation is right. Whether it is the first Hokage Senju or the second Hokage Senju Tobirama, it is the hero of Konoha. There are merits and demerits, but enough to be engraved on Konoha's wall of glory and merit. There are merits and demerits. Is this your evaluation of the first and second generations? Minato gave Hachiken a strange look, but didn't interrupt him. The third generation of adults also mentioned the word Hokage just now. Touching his chin, the corners of Bajian's mouth were slightly raised, which made Sarutobi Hiruzen instinctively feel that something was wrong. Yes, Hokage is a recognized hero of Konoha. Call. I love to hear these two words, hero. This kid is not that annoying. Three generations nodded in relief. Then, it can be said that Hokage has been a hero of Konoha in all dynasties, and it should be engraved on the wall of Konoha's glory and merit. You are Hokage, which means you want to be on the wall. It's hard to get on the wall and on the Kong. The playfulness in his eyes grew stronger, and Hachiken walked up to Sarutobi and patted him on the shoulder very boldly. Mention, Sarutobi is not very big, and it is not difficult to shoot from this angle. That's what the old man yearns for. Thanks to the king, the three generations said cheerfully. Simple, you can put it on the wall if you want. Bajian nodded generously. Speaking of which, I also came up with the system of this meritorious wall, and I still have this power. Sensible. The smile on Sarutobi's face widened. It's not right. What happened to the 8 swords? Seeing the 8 swords cooperate so well, Minato looked puzzled. This is not the attitude he should have. But the third generation of adults, there is a prerequisite for going to the wall. After the conversation changed, Bajian coughed and suddenly looked at Minato solemnly. Teacher, get your pen ready. Pen. The stunned Minato picked up the pen and paper next to him. Please, 3 generations of adults, tell us what you have done for Konoha and this village in the past few decades. Please speak up, open up. Fourth more. Code word ing, grab Wawa and tickets easily. Chapter 90 Minato-sensei, can I betray the division? Just kidding, I'm Konoha's third generation Hokage, and I'll do my best for Konoha. The 3 generations were stunned, and instinctively said this sentence. But he didn't know that when he responded with this kind of rhetoric, he was already hooked. Be bold and give an example. Bajian said to the third generation with a face full of encouragement, according to the regulations of the Glory Merit Wall, we will record your most penultimate contribution and update it in real time. It's the rules and you should know that maintaining a huge ninja village like Konoha is the main thing to be fair. So, please start your show. If you want to go to the wall, you can say your contribution. At the end of the first ninja war, the old man and the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama went to the Land of Thunder to negotiate. Everything went well originally, but the golden horn and the silver horn suddenly appeared. At that time, the old man stood up and offered to stop it. On his face, Sarutobi said fully in mid-term. Sure enough, this one came out. Bajian sneered and tilted his head, then have you broken your back? Did you stop then? What is the old man? No. At this moment, the three generations felt the maliciousness of Lie 397 Ziu Bajian. Yes. In the end he didn't stop. That's not true, but... Rising Yuhi's face, Sarutobi was embarrassed for a while. Oh, that's a pity. But... Sorry, no but. He knew what Sarutobi wanted to say, but because he wanted the courage to break up alone, he got the second generation of Shinchi and became the third generation of Konoha's Hokage. It was also the second generation who was blind and chose Sarutobi, but there was no way to choose him. In that case, the second generation could not find a more suitable candidate. But does this have anything to do with contribution? It's the second generation who died. If you use this on the wall, what should you write after Nadaime, second, Sama's name? Anything else? Bajian blinked and asked again. The old man led Konoha to win the second ninja war. Thinking about it, Sarutobi shouted proudly again. Then how many enemies did you kill in battle? I'll have them engraved on the numbers. How powerful the third generation Hokage, who was respected in the Second Ninja World War, really was. What am I AEFI? That time he did not go to the frontline battlefield. Sarutobi was short of breath, staring at Yabajian. At this moment, he wanted to bite the other party to death, but he was the third generation of Hokage of Konoha, and he must not turn his back on this matter. Otherwise, let alone the meritorious wall, if it spreads out, people will spit to saliva at home. It's a pity. Hachiken sighed and shook his head regretfully. You don't seem to have participated in the command from the rear, it's all due to the legendary Sannin on the front line. Yin and Yang. Bright and upright Yin and Yang. The third ninja war of the old man. Opened his mouth, the third generation just wanted to say that the third ninja war was won under his wise leadership, but the words still did not come out. The Hokage who really made a contribution to the third ninja war in front of him is staring at him. And he didn't forget how he abdicated as Hokage. Or was it because the leaders of the third ninja war were under pressure and gave Minato the position? It's too embarrassing to say this. But you want to use this to block the old man's name on the wall of merit. With a sneer, the three generations suddenly became proud. Indeed, the old man didn't go to the battlefield in person. But the legendary Sannin just said from your mouth is the apprentice taught by the old man, and Minato is also the grandson of the old man, and even you are the great-grandson of the old man. I taught talent for Konoha. You can do it. Awesome. Bajian couldn't help showing his thumb in admiration, but who is your grandson? Head, Bajian winked at Minato. Minato-sensei, can I betray Shimon? Puff. Minato couldn't hold back his laughter. The face was so unpredictable. But looking at his disciple's winking appearance, he knew that his purpose was not this. Bajian, why are you doing this? Just cooperate, just don't scare me next time. You taste it carefully. Konoha Sannin, commonly known as the Three Musketeers of Konoha's yellow gambling drugs. The apprentice taught by your teacher's teacher left Konoha with a bad gamble. Another one who peeks at women's baths all day long and was even caught by me. There's one more thing left. Human experiments have killed how many good kids in Konoha. Without any reservations, he began to retire, and Bajian's disgusting face made the three generations feel a little nauseated. I would rather not wait for such a master. There is no need to say so. Minato smiled bitterly. He really didn't save face for the third generation as a disciple. Sarutobi quietly, and just by looking at the color of Yuhi's monkey-like butt, he knew that he was out of breath. In this way, the credit for teaching talents is gone. That's right, the people who teach Konoha's pornography, gambling and drugs don't seem to have anything to show off. Orochimaru did do human experiments, but he was also the one I led the team to catch. Sandai retorted with the last of his strength. What about the others? Did you catch it? Bajian was too lazy to pretend to be that hypocritical, and looked at each other calmly. Understood. He's just playing with me. I am for Konoha. Yuhi's face rose, but he didn't know what to say to enumerate the credits he had done for Konoha. Protect the Foundation. It doesn't seem to be guarded either. He also knows how badly Konoha was attrition in the Third War. Go back and think about it clearly, come over and make it clear. Konoha Glory Wall of Merit, bastards are not welcome. Patting Sarutobi on the shoulder again, Bajian directly issued the order to evict the guest. Of course, he's not Hokage. But obviously the other party stayed here as completely self-inflicted humiliation. Holding a breath, Sarutobi, whose lungs almost exploded, turned around in humiliation, opened the door and walked out. Before he came, he didn't expect such a result at all. Face hurts. It was also swollen. But unfortunately, he couldn't say a word to refute. Konoha over the years. What? What have you done? Closing the door to Hokage's office, Sarutobi's heart was beating wildly. But the words that suddenly came out from inside directly defeated his last line of defense. Ha ha ha, I laughed so hard, Mr. Minato, the 3 generations wanted to go to the wall, and they had to go to the wall with great effort. Puff. A mouthful of old blood spurted out. Sarutobi's head is buzzing. The old man swears, I must go to the Wall of Merit. 5th more. Codewording, _ask for a monthly pass. Chapter 91 let you be the only Hokage to expand the territory. Let's get down to business. 3 generations have gone. Bajian was too lazy to pay attention to him, a bad old man was no threat to him. He has retired. No matter what he has done before, it has nothing to do with himself. Sarutobi Hiruzen is really not eligible for something full of glory like the Wall of Merit. Minato is here, he has already given Sarutobi Hiruzen face. There were some obscure things he didn't say. Example, why did the Senju family disappear, and why was Tsunade the only one left? The mystery is not a mystery at all. Integrate into Konoha. I'm sorry, no real big family wants their bloodline to be infected by other infections and become impure. No matter how you integrate into it, you will leave a home. This is Bajian's own understanding. Whether history is really like this, it is estimated that Tsunade who left Konoha will know the specific situation. Besides, why didn't the Uzumaki clan perish without help? How did Hitaki Tsukumo die and so on? So in this regard, Bajian thinks that he has given Sarutobi Hiruzen enough face. Hachiken wiped his zanpakuto and looked at Minato. The appearance of the 3rd generation here is just a small episode. Today, he is here to do business. What about Raikage? Back to seriousness, Minato is serious. Neat Shadow was caught by Bajian with him, but he gave all the credit to his disciples. This is nothing. A good teacher who is truly for the sake of his disciples will not care about these things. But how Raikage handled it made Minato a little troubled. Caught the shadow of a big ninja village, this is no small matter, even if one is not careful, a real war will be ignited. From Konoha's point of view it's really good. But if the news spreads, the Country of Thunder is bound to have turmoil and other ninja villages who peep at the Country of Thunder will also take action. The situation in the ninja world will undergo earth-shaking changes. Konoha has just experienced the loss of the 3rd Ninja World War. If the 4th World War is connected at this time, they may not have much to gain. So the existence of Raikage suddenly became a little hot. Of course, this is only Minato's own consideration, and because he is afraid that he will miss something, he will find Bajian to discuss it. Don't treat the disciple in front of you as a child, no child can vomit blood from Hokage. What are you in a hurry for? 8 Swords glanced at Minato suspiciously. To be honest, as soon as he entered the door, he realized that something was wrong with Minato. It's like that kind of thing, it's like I've caught someone and I'm sorry, I always feel that I owe Kumogakure village. Raikage. Minato was stunned. Don't you need to worry about this question? Eight Swords shook his head. Indeed, it is normal for a person like Little Sun to have such an attitude. Hokage anime countless times and knows that this affinity is the charm of Minato. But that is the enemy. The right thing to do is to be cold-blooded to the enemy. Of course, from the perspective of God, he can indeed say that these people lack the perception of the big picture, but after you integrate into this world, you will understand that the environment has destined their pattern to be limited. Therefore, those who pass through from the perspective of God are not qualified to arbitrarily judge others for being small. Because if you're really a normal ninja, you're not even as good as them. This point is very important. So Bajian won't say anything because of Minato's thoughts so that he can see the pattern clearly. That's not nutritious. A little, then let Minato think for himself, slowly thinking about the problem in another way. This is what he, standing in Hokage's shadow, should do. Teacher, it shouldn't be Konoha in a hurry. It's the village of Kumogakure. Said earnestly, the village of Kumogakure is more anxious than us because their Raikage cows have not died. So, whether other ninja villages learn the news and attack Kumogakure village, or Kumogakure village's fish die and the net breaks, it's just not good for Kumogakure village. And the village of Kumogakure, our enemy, you said that too. They are the enemy. The enemy is in a hurry, why should we be in a hurry? Just wait slowly. As for Raikage's body, you don't have to worry about it. I don't want him to die. He won't die. At most, it will be very painful. As enemies, we naturally owe them nothing, and the truth is on our side, because they took the initiative to sneak into Konoha. Even if he was killed on the spot, there would never be any rumors of Konoha's cruelty. This world will only be afraid of the strong and the strong ninja village. Walking to Minato's side, seeing his thoughtful appearance, Bajian smiled. Also, don't you think Konoha is a little short of things right now? Missing something? Minato opened his mouth and suddenly thought of something. Lack of money. With a slap on the table, Minato's eyes lit up. Yeah, you have also seen Anbu's recuperation plan, which is also suitable for those Konoha ninjas who died in battle. Isn't the existence of Raikage just to make up for this? Triple pensions, ninja training, military supplies. Konoha is really short of money. The root cause is still caused by the 3 wars, and even the humbleness in front of the daimyo. Most of Ninja Village's economic sources are taxes and task rewards, as well as the support of daimyo. Being humble in front of the daimyo means that the daimyo will give you as much as he is willing to give. This kind of humbleness is actually very unreasonable, but the reform comes step by step, and Bajian did not say it. Exchange Raikage for money. At least let Konoha catch his breath, and when everything returns to normal, this roaring first ninja village will definitely make the world feel terrified. There is myself, and there is Minato. Anbu who has been carefully cultivated. If this can't help Konoha, the village will be destroyed. If possible, I will show you how to deal with prisoners of war when the negotiating team from the village of Kumogakure arrives. I believe that after this time, there is no need to find me for this kind of trouble. Blinking at Minato, Hachiken's eyes were filled with excitement. I always think you're going to mess up Kumogakure village. Seeing his disciple's malicious gaze, Minato shivered and said. Not so much, at best with Konoha. Bajian smiled honestly, I want my teacher to be. For Konoha, the only Hokage to expand the territory of the first ninja village that has existed for decades. This moment. Minato's eyes changed. Well, the 6th is delivered. If the problem is updated, there will be a wave of explosions. I've been feeling unwell recently, so I only change 6 times a day, and during the outbreak period, I'll change more than 10 times a day. Readers, please rest assured. Chapter 92. Can you be his brother? After Bajien finished speaking, the atmosphere in the huge Hokage office suddenly became quiet. Minato stared blankly at the boy in front of him. To be the first Hokage to expand for Konoha. Konoha, stagnant for decades. It sounds harsh. But think about it for yourself and find out that's the truth. A total of 3 ninja wars. What Konoha gained and what was lost? This is a thought-provoking question. Maybe the first ninja war and the third ninja war were forced to start, but in the second ninja war, Konoha consumed so much and still did not get a real victory. Even with all my might, I can't defeat the village of Omegakure. Expansion of territory. For this village that has been settled for decades, it will be a great achievement recorded in history. But the 8 swords. Slowly raising his head, Minato's eyes have sobered from the shock, and the boy in front of him has walked towards the door of Hokage's office with a knife in hand. 8 swords. That's not what teachers want. Just watch you grow, watch you change Konoha, watch you change the whole ninja world. These have satisfied him. Whatever you get in the process is your contribution. Just look at you like this: when you grow up thoroughly, I will give you everything that O4 protects. Teacher, there is only such an idea. Those honors belong to you. 8 swords. When the boy's footsteps were about to step out of the office door, Minato's soft voice came over. Turning his head to the side, the young man turned his head in confusion. When Naruto is born, can you be his brother? With hope, Minato uttered a sentence that had been buried in his heart for a long time. When Naruto comes out, can you be his brother? This sentence is very tactful. But the meaning is not limited to the surface. Naruto's brother is an identity. And another identity is Minato's child. Minato has seen Yabajian's information countless times. Whenever I see the orphan in my identity, I can't help but feel sad for Bajien. It is difficult for a child like Bajien to really get into his heart, which Minato knows very well. No parents, no one to depend on since childhood, only Itachi except Anko. That's why he was so good to Itachi. Little by little, let this child recognize himself. Let him know he is not alone. Until now, although the time to really understand it is not long. But they seem to have known each other for a long time. Now, it's time to say that. To make up for his regrets. Say what should be said when he needs encouragement. Even if it only makes him feel a little warmer. Stop at the door. 8 swords seem to be stunned. Naruto's name is based on a protagonist in Mr. Jiraiya's novel. Minato wants Naruto to grow up to be a great ninja like Jiraiya. So he wasn't surprised when Minato called out Naruto. The identity of Naruto's brother is not the reason why he stopped. He understood what Minato said. But no one ever told him that. Still not working. Minato smiled bitterly. Actually, I'm worried that Naruto doesn't have a partner by his side. I'm afraid he'll be lonely and nothing else. If you don't want to. Gollum. Liquor in throat. 8 swords raised the wine gourd and sullenly turned around. Yuhi color in the corner of the eye is spicy or choked, it looks a bit worrying. Good. But Mr. Minato, remember to add 2 extra pairs of bowls and chopsticks at home. Also, Enko's cooking is pretty unpalatable, and if she cooperates with your wife, our stomachs will probably explode in place. He agreed. Minato opened his mouth to say something, but the boy at the door had already left. There is no need to talk too much between teachers and students. 8 swords should think so. But the words of father and son. Minato shook his head and sighed, and the smile of the little sun sign appeared on his face again. There will be that day. Konoha, on the doorstep of Sarutobi's house. A slightly decadent figure was walking towards the house. But when he was about to enter, a figure stood in front of him. Danzo. Looking up, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were a little surprised. The old man is gone for days. Sarutobi, Konoha's wall of glory, should have my name on it. Good guy. Good for you. Unexpectedly, Danzo also had an idea for the name on it. But I didn't go up, do you think you can do it? I'm not in charge of this matter, and I'm not even qualified to go up. Sarutobi said with a cold face. Konoha Merit Wall. Perhaps this Konoha, the more iconic place to admire is the Hokage Rock. But that can only mean that you have been Hokage. Nothing more. But the Merit Wall is different. It is located in the center of the whole village. Every day, villagers go up to take a look. Heroic deeds and size. More intuitive than Hokage Rock. Aren't you on the wall? Danzo glanced at his old buddy in surprise, but the corners of his mouth showed a little mockery. Yeah, I feel like you don't deserve it too. The whole Konoha is probably the one who despises Sarutobi the most, and even now he still feels that if he had took the initiative to stand up, and the Hokage position was his. But that is likely the case. When the chase was coming, Danzo stepped forward. Then the second-generation Hokage patted Danzo's shoulder with relief. Okay Danzo, Konoha will remember you, you go. Monkey, let's go back to the village. Second generation can't see how much Danzo is. He is not that blind, ambition can be seen in his eyes. Danzo is not as good as Sarutobi in terms of strength or 180 ability. The second generation understands this. Very. The final break is probably just the final test for Sarutobi. I can't go up, can you go up? Just give an example of what you did for Konoha. Sarutobi stroked his beard and suddenly realized that he wasn't upset either. He still has a chance in the future, but the old guy in front of him has never played in this life. Thinking of this, a subtle sense of superiority suddenly appeared in his heart. Humph, this old man has done a lot for Konoha. Danzo said disdainfully. Be bold, for example, if you can tell me, I'll go to the Hokage office to discuss with Minato right away. Sarutobi looked kind, and he wanted to see his old buddy shriveled. Do you really dare to be an old man? Although it is true that those credits cannot be engraved on the merit wall, they are also credits. He's not stupid, he understands that those things can't be engraved, but he must let the villagers know in disguise that he cares about this contribution of the village. Just a little touch-up is no big deal. His neck proudly, Danzo opened his mouth. The old man established the route, hiding in the darkness of Konoha to guard the village, putting an end to everything in the village. Possible threat. Hatake Sakumo, his strength and prestige exceeded the limit, so he died. And, why are you gagging me? Sarutobi, are you crazy? First more code wording, Chapter 93. Remember, now you're just a bargaining chip at the negotiating table. It's October. The warmth of summer has not yet passed, walking on the bustling streets of Konoha. All the lively scene around was skipped. Residents seemed to have long been accustomed to the Konoha village, the young man who walked through the village with a knife and a drink. Unlike the initial surprise and doubt. At this moment, there was respect in their eyes. The Konoha glory wall of merit made them remember this teenager completely. It was him who guarded the village while he was asleep. This age needs heroes. And Konoha, the most important thing is the hero. Hachiken's heart was at peace, and the waves he received from Namikaze Minato have slowly disappeared. Are you fully integrated into this world? I guess so. If there are a few more people to eat together, it should not feel bad. Looking up, for some reason he found himself in the central square of Konoha. And in front of the 8 swords is the new competition method he created, the Wall of Glory and Merit. But now, there is only his name on it. Shaking his head, Bajien did not have the habit of observing his own deeds and was about to leave, but his eyes suddenly swept to the figure standing beside him. It's him. What are you looking at? He walked straight over and patted the other's back. Bajien said. Shao, that is, you can approach me so quietly. Kakashi turned around with a wry smile. To be honest, these days when he teamed up with Bajian, he had already changed from shock to numbness, especially this way of really hiding his breath and sensing the breath of others. Really scary. The code name of Owl, in the Night Owl team, only Kakashi is still calling all the time. It seems that he also likes birds like owls. Extremely vicious, and has no reservations about everything that is close. This is simply not appropriate to Bajian's character. Looked at Kakashi, and then at the wall of glory and merit in front of him. Here is the third category of the wall of merit, the monument of heroic souls. If nothing else, it will be filled with the names of ninjas who died for Konoha recently. I know everything about your father. Wine gourd to Kakashi, Hachiken suddenly said. Needless to say, it is estimated that because of the appearance of the heroic soul monument, Kakashi thought about what had happened to him. Having experienced it personally and understood White Fang, he has long since stopped complaining about his father. Not to mention, he also felt that kind of temperament from Bajian, and even heard the same words. Ninjas who do not follow the rules and perform their tasks are scum, but those who do not value their companions are not even scum. This has become a line of his every ninja creed. But father. Glancing at the heroic soul monument in front of him, Kakashi gave a wry smile. White Fang's death was not honorable, so it is estimated that the monument of the heroic soul will not be able to go up. And Kakashi will never argue for his father just because he is friends with Hachiken. He's not like that. It's not necessary either. He knew in his heart what kind of person the father he respected was. If his father cannot be remembered, then he will inherit his father's will and leave his mark on it. This is Kadian's own way of living. Don't worry, White Fang is a hero, try to appear here. Since it's the hero of Konoha, there's no reason to forget it over time. And those that should be cleaned up will be cleaned up sooner or later, it's just useful to keep them for now. Finally, with a symbolic punch to Kakashi's chest, Hachiken turned and left. And the words he said when he left at the end left Kakashi a little confused. Useful for now. Who is he talking about? Shaking his head, Kakashi didn't think too much, and suddenly thought of something when he patted his head. Almost forgot. Xingying has woken up and said he wanted to see you. Konoha Hospital. After Tsunade, one of the Sanins, left the village, Konoha's medical level began to plummet. No really good medical ninja has come forward after Tsunade either. It's down, but not bad either. Compared with other villages, it is even at a leading level. It's just that Haken felt that Tsunade wasn't there. In the intensive care unit, the ground was in a mess, and the medicine bottle with visible spiritual drip was shattered. Breakage at this time is very similar to Killer Bee lying in Kumogakure village. The breath was chaotic, and the whole body was in unbearable pain as if being eaten by ants. I want to extract chakra from my body, but I find that every time I have this idea, the discomfort will increase. Can't rebounds. The old man lost to a kid. Trembling as he squeezed the sheets, Breakage was furious. Plan failed completely, and he even became a prisoner like Yugito. He had never felt this kind of bullying before. Even if you die at the moment of battle, it will be 10,000 times better than now. It's a pity that he can't even commit suicide now. Brows furrowed, Ying effortlessly tilted his head. The door of the ward was suddenly opened, and two figures walked in slowly. And that one is the kid who disrupted his plans. Now he has understood the situation. And that there was a problem with the key of the barrier that Azabui brought out from Konoha, and Konoha didn't send anyone to guard it. The reason is simple, Konoha's fourth-generation Hokage arrived wearing shorts. No shadow will choose that outfit when performing a mission. So, it was this kid who noticed the patrol. How strong is his perception? Muscles were tense, and beads of sweat fell from his forehead. Breakage struggled to sit up with all his strength. Breakage is breakage. This will alone cannot be compared by ordinary people. Tilda have something to do with me. Hachiken hugged his shoulders and handed Zanpakuto to Kakashi next to him for him to carry. This flattered. Kakashi took Zanpakuto and shivered. He saw with his own eyes the scene of the knife killing itself. Fortunately, after taking the knife, there was no such scene except that it felt heavy. Sigh of relief, Kakashi smiled shyly. The royal knife bearer. This identity is also good. Of course, the 8 swords of the knife-wielding man had never been thought of, he just felt that the ward was using the not open, let Kakashi have a sense of presence by the way, always thinking about his father. White Fang's affairs, Konoha's internal affairs, he has his own arrangements. It won't be long before the village becomes ironclad. Let him get out. Zhao, sitting up straight, has consumed all of Reikage's physical strength, and his voice is so beautiful. Looking at Kakashi, he said, yes, you really belong, so why should I come in? I just got a job to do. Kakashi smiled bitterly and wanted to go out. He never likes to get in the way of others. Situation estimated that Reikage had something important to tell Xiao Xiao, and he was not qualified to mix with him. No need for Han. Throughout a sentence, Bajian stepped on the hospital bed with one foot and looked straight at Reikage. He is my friend and more important to me than you. In addition, please remember that you are only a bargaining chip at the negotiating table, and you are not qualified to make conditions, let alone a bargaining chip. No right to scare people. Gradually squeezed Reikage's neck with one hand, and Bajian's ill erupted violently without warning. I heard that when you just came over, you scared the medical ninja who gave you the injection, and knocked over the bottle of medicine. Come down and wipe the ground for Lao Su, or you will unload your thighs. Second more. Code wording, _ Chapter 94. This is not the Konoha you think. Is he pretending? No. And a captive outfit X. It would just appear to have no power. Bajian squeezed his neck and forced him to clean up just because the other party knocked over the bottle of medicine. This is Konoha village. No matter how the previous Konohas treated their captives, how they treated their enemies, or what happened in this land. For example, how servile the ancestors were, and even said that when the 5 shadows were talking, they would salute people in public. It has nothing to do with Bajian, and he can't control it either. Used to Reikage's identity, it was normal for I, who suddenly became a prisoner, to want to vent his anger. These other shinobi shadows consciously classify Konoha as weak. Even from the time Senju Hashirama bowed her head to the other 4 shadows, those people have despised you. Relying on mutual understanding to achieve peace is the most ridiculous lie in the world. You can only trust the weapons in your hands. That is the most effective way of peace. Just like now. In front of him no one can stand here and show off their power. This is a brand new Konoha village, controlled by the Konoha he hides in the shadow of Hokage. Reforms are beginning. The servile appearance of the child will also take on a new look. 970 Konoha has changed. Without realizing this, I look at Konoha in the same way as before, and even dare to throw things on the land of Konoha. Packing the ground is light. If it weren't for him, he would have killed the man in front of him. Also a prisoner, Niyugito is much more interesting than needing shadows. When she came back, she realized that she couldn't struggle and couldn't resist, so she quieted down and served beside Hachiken and became the queen's maid. There is no such thing as different treatment of male and female prisoners. It's all up to you to deny your identity. Konoha let you breathe, gave you injections and medicines but you didn't appreciate it. Give you face but not face. Then don't blame Bajian for being rude. This is not the weak Konoha you remember. Kid, I'm Reikage. With endless anger in his eyes, Reikage, who couldn't move, tried his best to squeeze a word out of his throat. He is Reikage. It's impossible to get him to obey the others' orders and do what a handyman does. Gaba. There is no extra nonsense, just less than a second, there is a crisp sound from Raikage's calf. If you say take off your legs, take off your legs. For the enemy, he will have no mercy. Kakashi's heart jumped beside him, and there was a little more admiration in his eyes. Yes. He is Raikage. Even if they were prisoners, most people would not dare to do so. Neither does Minato-sensei. But Xiao Xiao dared, and he didn't hesitate at all. Matter what your status is, you have to pay for being wild in Konoha. Raikage, who has inherited the will of thunder, is still unyielding. Even when the bone broke, it was just a groan. The 5 major ninja villages, each shadow has its own will, and Raikage is no exception. Little devil, I'm Raikage. Do you have the patience for that? Pain makes Raikage more awake. Even his original purpose of looking for this kid was one step closer. The world, there are only those who need to die in battle, and there is no Raikage who yields. He is of Kumogakure village. Never give in. You'd better kill me. His chest was heaving, but Raikage at the moment made Bajian feel a little more appreciation in his heart. The kind of admiration between opponents. Perhaps this kind of temperament is worthy of the title of Shengying. I know you want to die. Bajian showed a strange smile, but Yugito also wanted to die when he first came. Do you want to know what I said to her? I told her that if she dared to try, I would let her watch me cut one after another with my own eyes. Off the heads of everyone in Kumogakure village. Remember, it's everyone. Please trust me, Mr. Shadow, I can definitely do this. I'm not afraid to tell you that you need to be a shadow first. I know Orochimaru who specializes in resurrection and longevity. Even if you forcibly commit suicide, I can still resurrect you and let you watch that scene. Reach out. AEBH, sword comes. Kakashi's embrace lightly. Zanpakuto has been supported by the neck of the shadow. Give you 2 options. First, clear the ground for a while, and wait until the ninjas from Kumogakure village come. Second, I will kill you now and resurrect you, and then let you watch your people get beheaded. Head. 3 seconds, please choose one. When Bajian finished speaking in one breath, Ying's facial expression changed dramatically. Indifference, disdain, shock to anger. He couldn't figure out why a kid could say such a thing. How did he figure out such a ruthless means? For Xie Ying, he can beat the physical torture, but the mental torture is not to resist. Resist it. He doesn't know if the resurrection technique that the other party said exists, but as Raikage, he must not use the whole village. Gamble with your life. Quote. 3. Zanpakuto tightly. Bajian's eyes are full of murderous intent, as if he will slash Raikage with force in the next second. I choose one. You are a fucking devil. A roar completely broke the suppressed atmosphere in the ward. Raikage struggled and fell to the ground, using the only hand left to pick up the broken bottles and jars. In the end he still lost. Strenuous. Backed Zanpakuto, Hachiken turned around and wanted to leave. But Raikage on the ground suddenly calmed down, and he seemed to see a lot when the cow died. Little brat, I admit you're more aggressive than Hokage of all ages. They don't feel that ruthless. But do you want to know, why can I open your Konoha's enchantment, and how do I get around it? Did you unknowingly come to Konoha through your fire defense line? The road to death has been blocked. Then it will definitely enter the negotiation stage. And the already appointed Yingying will not resist anything, and can only choose in the next negotiation. Giving Kumogakure village a bigger stake. That scroll is one of the chips. If he is Hokage from Konoha, must be wondering who the inner ghost is. As long as the other party is curious, then some disadvantages can be saved when negotiating. This is what Raikage is thinking at the moment. You don't think I know who it is? Crouching in front of Xingying, Bajian raised his eyebrows and said lightly. He knows. I was stunned, this is impossible. Why you haven't changed Konoha's enchantment yet? Why not prepare for an ambush in advance? Impossible. He is lying to me. Let a garbage release some news that I want to release, and then use those news to gain some favorable resources, such as letting you appear here. After that person has completely lost the value of use, I am going to publicize what he has done, when kill him in front of everyone. Rakeage, do you think I'm doing the right thing? At this moment, a cold chill filled the entire room. Rakeage. Silent. Third more. Code word ing. Minato will not die, please rest assured. There are typos, the little author will check each chapter several times. Again, sorry. Chapter 95 I will always be behind you. Azabuye-sama, is it necessary to be so anxious? Konoha's situation has not been reported yet. If we rush over, will it disrupt the plan of Mr. Yin-Yang? You didn't see how proud the ninjas in Konoha were just now. I really want to go up and give them 2 slaps. Konoha from the border of the Land of Fire, a group of people was advancing rapidly, and Azabuye's anxious face was getting stronger and stronger. Samui, who was traveling with her, frowned in confusion. Didn't they just come back from Konoha not long ago? Even if you go again as a negotiating team, it is estimated that there will be no good results. Just looking at Konoha's tough attitude is a bit depressing. Speed up, and in this negotiation, if you talk nonsense like this, you will be charged with a village sentence. Without explaining anything to Samui, Azabuye shouted to the ninjas in the back again. She is in a hurry. Can you be in a hurry? It's been 3 days, but there's no news at all. If all goes well, I'm afraid they have all returned to Kumogakure village. However, until now, there has been no movement there. There is only one reason to explain. That's what happened to Rakeage. Rakeage is not in Kumogakure village, the whole village has lost its brains and flags. It's fine for 3 days, if it continues to drag on and it is found that something is wrong, I am afraid chaos will follow. The shadow of a village is so important. What's even more terrifying is that if the news that there is really a problem with the shadow is discovered by other ninja villages, the war will follow. No doubt, this is the inevitable result. The main thing is that there isn't even a single person in the village to take Rakeage's place. Lord Killer Bee counts as one. But now he is still lying on the bed with a scary low combat power. Can such a Kumogakure village use to fight a war that may break out at any time? There was only one choice in front of Mabui. That is to quickly go to Konoha to confirm the situation, at least to know if the current Rakeage-sama is still alive, and then make the worst plan. Now the top of the Kumogakure village is on level 1 readiness and ready to react. I can only hope that Lord Rakeage is safe and sound. With a wry smile, Mabui shook her head, and now she suddenly regretted giving the scroll to Rakeage. What if that was a Konoha conspiracy? Going further down, she no longer dared to think about it. The serious Azabuye made the team members swallow their saliva, and quickly followed the footsteps and continued forward. Is Sasuke coming out soon? Konoha Hospital. 8 Swords stared at Uchiha Makoto's belly curiously. Close to her due date, so Makoto has been in the hospital always ready. As Itachi's friend, he should come to the hospital to have a look. Itachi, like the members of Anbu, is receiving special training and getting stronger every day. So there will be less time to spend with my mother. Moreover, Fugaku was also dealing with the affairs of the family, so he was too busy to attend to the hospital. Well, the doctor said, it's probably very soon. Makoto's face glowed with motherhood, and she was a great woman at this moment. But if it's called this name, are you sure the 3 generations of Hokage are okay with it? Bajian raised his brows. As far as he knew, Sarutobi Hiruzen's father was called Sarutobi Sasuke. Isn't this disguised as saying that the 3 generations are the grandsons of the patriarch of their Uchiha clan? Therefore, Uchiha's destruction is not wrong. Use his father's name as his own son. Who are you not destroying? Of course, the degree of confusion in the relationship in the second dimension may not be understood by his 8 swords. Fugaku said that he had said hello to the third generation, so there should be no problem. Makoto stroked his stomach with one hand and rubbed the boy's head with the other. Hachiken. The usual training should not be too hard. In Auntie's eyes, you and Itachi are still children. The boy didn't reject Makoto's hand, and he touched the opponent's liver without any blasphemy in his eyes. Mother is great. Those nasty thoughts won't appear here. But a joke is a joke. The fundamental problem of the genocide of the Uchiha clan has not yet been dealt with by the Eight Swords. That's right. The Uchiha family does have a problem. And the problem is serious. On this basis, they can easily lead to bad consequences without the trust of Konoha. So how to lead Uchiha is the top priority. But now this time is the eve of the Kyubi Nine Tails upheaval, so the Uchiha clan and the Konoha. The friction is not as big as imagined, and everything can be changed. Sasuke is about to be born, and Naruto is not long after. The difference is that he became Naruto's brother. Then if Sasuke and Naruto fight in the future, will I help Naruto fight Sasuke or help Sasuke fight Naruto? Or help Sasuke fight Itachi? Or help Itachi when he fights Naruto? Or, Sasuke and Naruto beat them, and find a place to rest and eat grilled. Just look at the meat. Kind of messed up. Byakugan, Bajian is too lazy to think about those problems. Fate has changed, let's talk about it when the time comes. If it really doesn't work, beat Naruto, Sasuke and Itachi one by one. His eyes lit up, and Bajian felt that the last idea was really good, but he could try it. What is this kid thinking? Makoto looked at Bajian suspiciously, and from the way this child looked at his stomach, he always felt that something was wrong. It's not that simple, there is always a feeling of your child to be embarrassed, or two children. Women in this period have a premonition that is outrageous. Master Minister, the Kumogakure village messengers have arrived, and Master Hokage wants you to come. Whoosh. The door, and Anbu Ninja walked in respectfully. This is the Eight Swords sent to protect Uchiha Makoto. It is not easy for Makoto with a big belly. Of course, he wouldn't be like the Konoha elders who don't even give money. It will not force the other party to perform such a task. Got it. Taking a deep breath, Bajian stood up and looked at Makoto. Auntie, I'm going to deal with something, you more. Take breaks. This child is still so polite. Makoto nodded gently. To be honest, she was really happy that Itachi had such a friend. Bajian, according to what you said, this time the negotiation is fully handed over to you. Inside the office, Minato patted Bajian on the shoulder and said, I don't have any requirements for you, just implement it according to your ideas. Don't worry that someone will make irresponsible remarks about you, even if the result is not satisfactory. Don't be afraid, be bold. To do it. Remember, I will always be behind you to support you. Fourth update. Code wording. Chapter 96. Before this knife, it was Konoha. At the end of summer, gusts of hot wind always make people want to find a cool place to rest. If you can eat an old popsicle, it should be more comfortable. In Konoha Square, two chairs were placed on both sides of an ordinary rectangular table. There was a young man sitting on one side, and he was very happy to eat popsicles. In the opposite direction, Azabui, who was originally dark in color, was sweating wildly on his forehead under the scorching sun. Raising her head and looking at the person opposite, Mabuyi bit Kiba. The person in charge of the negotiation is not Hokage. Who was in Hokage's office before with a big knife. At this moment, his big knife was being held by the white-haired man behind him, and the white-haired man beside him was a lineup that puzzled her. The fourth-generation Hokage Namikaze Minato, needless to say. The remaining few, if she guessed correctly, are members of the Night Owl Squad. As Hokage, but standing behind others. 1-0. And further down, it was the Konoha elders. The third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, two Hokage advisors, Homura Mitokado, and the transfer boy with the arm attached. Shimura Danzo. The atmosphere is a little weird. The whole village high level standing behind. Only that kid was sitting across from him eating an old popsicle. Is this still Konoha? Azabuye licked his chapped lips. To be honest, she was eager to ask how Konoha learned how to entertain. Anyway, let's get her one too, right? In fact, Bajian is also a little helpless. Until just now, he thought that Minato's sentence "I will stand behind you" was just to give himself courage and confidence. Who knew he was really standing and then pushed him to the negotiating table in front of everyone? Pit. Teacher. Turning back and complaining, he glanced at Minato with an encouraging face, and Hachiken sighed. The negotiating team in Kumogakure village is already in place. Now he can't push Minato to sit again. Because the negotiations have already begun. As for the last few old things, Bajian didn't feel that the other party was coming back at first. Because it has nothing to do with them anyway. Unless. I came here to watch the fun, to watch myself come out, and then to take back some of my power. This kind of psychology is not difficult to ponder. There's certainly no substantial dissolution of Danzo's roots, but the actions certainly aren't as blatant as they used to be. It is estimated that the 3 generations are here to take credit, see if they can help and then go to the wall. 2 consultants. There is still a face, which Bajian did not expect. Recently, Minato has promoted a new batch of Konoha cadres. It is estimated that he is dissatisfied with the loss of authority and wants to take this opportunity to re-upgrade. So, since you came here with this mentality, and you were not invited, then you should stand honestly. The chair belongs only to the 2 negotiators. Yi Bajian, I didn't expect us to meet again so soon. Taking a deep breath, Mabuyi spoke. Although the atmosphere is depressing, the negotiations are still going on. At this moment, she still doesn't know if something happened to Reikage. The reason for this negotiation is to settle the border war. Everything has to be tested. After biting Kiba, Mabuyi didn't care about Bajian's request for a popsicle, and took out a scroll. It is clearly written that this is the biggest concession of Kumogakure village and it is ready before coming to Konoha. Throwing the scroll from the side of the table to the 8 swords, Azabuye looked serious. Since you are in charge of this matter, these are the truce conditions given by Kumogakure village, if you can. Then I'm not in the Kabuto circle anymore. Clack. He was still talking. But Mabuyi was extremely angry that the kid in front of him threw the thing to the ground without even looking at the contents of the scroll. Insult. Naked insult. As a negotiating team, people are so irresponsible. Yebajian, this is not our Konoha's hospitality. Swish. Homura Mitokado, who was just about to open his mouth to find fault, did not dare to say anything. The knife was less than a millimeter away from him. The bloody odor above was clearly smelled. You should be thankful that I am negotiating, otherwise your head would have been separated. Eating a popsicle, Bajian snapped his fingers at Zanpakuto. The knife reinserted into the ground as if it had its own soul. Edgeworth. Royal sword. What is this ability? Everyone trembled, obviously taken aback by the sudden change. Either shut up and don't let me hear anything from you next, not even farting. Go away or die. You can do it yourself. After speaking without looking back, Bajian looked at Mabuyi again. What he just said was the truth. If it wasn't for the presence of outsiders in the negotiation, Homura Mitokado's head would have been split. The ugliness cannot be made public. The truth is that it is always a little disgusting to be seen by others of internal discord. But he swore that if the other side pressed him again, he would definitely cut off his head. Minato. The next 3 generations frowned and seemed to want to say something. 3 generations of adults, Bajian is solely responsible for this matter, I believe him. Minato shook his head for him to stop talking. Attitude is here. Like Bajian, he didn't expect these people to come. It was awkward for him to assert himself without an invitation. Wouldn't it be nice to be honest in this situation? I believe in him. Just because he is my child. Minato looked at the figure and nodded. His breath is already there. With that knife just now, Minato really thought that the 8 swords would cut straight down. Although he doesn't like Homura Mitokado either, but at the moment the other party's identity is still a Hokage consultant. Hokage consultants to death in front of outsiders is not good for Bajian's reputation after all. Off the court, or when the negotiating team leaves, Konoha can clean up the other side. Now is not the time. Fortunately, the boy's growth made him happy. That's the power of the shadow. Okay, Mabuyi. Throwing away the popsicle, Hachiken snapped his fingers at Itachi behind him. The latter got the order and walked over quickly, and then calmly placed a place on the table. Above, marking the border between the land of fire and the land of thunder. I'm not a man to be careful. So let's be honest, Reikage was caught by me and Mr. Minato. 5.2. You want to take him back, yes. Slowly standing up, Bajian picked up his sword again and jumped onto the table. Then, under Azabui's terrified eyes, he inserted Zanpakuto into a certain position and said 8 words. Before this knife, it was Konoha. He wants to let the land of thunder seed the land. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Does he know what that means? Azabui stretched out his fingers with trembling all over his body. What are you talking about? Repeat. Are you deaf? Bajian sneered and moved the knife forward again. Before this knife, it was Konoha. And remember, it's Konoha, not the land of fire. 5th more. Looking for a wave of monthly passes, the little author has hit the monthly pass list, thank you. Code wording, _ Chapter 97 I'm standing here, Konoha is the first ninja village. Before this knife, was it Konoha? Is it Konoha, not the land of fire? OMG. How big are your ambitions? Mabuyi was short of breath. The previous 8 words only made her feel angry and humiliated. But after hearing the words after now, she trembled all over. The old stuff at the back, even Minato moved his lips involuntarily to say something. But finally held back. Bajian is negotiating. Asking him questions at this time will only interrupt his train of thought. With a wry smile, Minato shook his head. It turned out that this was the plan of the 8 swords. Just saying this, isn't the impact a bit too big? Don't look back, those old stubborn ones are probably already stupid. Since the establishment of Shinobi Village, the country and the village have formed a relationship of mutual dependence. After decades of precipitation, this relationship has moved from a level to an imperceptible subordinate. Even the change of Hokage needs the approval of the daimyo. The reason is very simple. Ninja Village needs the support of the state, and it needs the material and money of the state. The development of Konoha cannot be stabilized by tasks and taxes alone. This is clear when Minato of Hokage 04. It is no exaggeration to say that without the support of the daimyo and the state, there will be no money to run the village for a month. This is enough to see the importance of state support. And frequently giving money to Ninja Village, the daimyo also regarded the military force of Ninja Village as a thug, and the existence of security quality, and regarded himself as the Gold Master. The Gold Master and the thug are the relationship between the top and the bottom. While Hokage never admits this, it is what it is. Level. He has seen with his own eyes the humble appearance of the 3rd generation of adults when they took over the supplies from the daimyo. This kind of relationship, I am afraid Bajian has already noticed it. Even future changes will turn the relationship around. Minato is very smart, he thought of a lot of things in an instant, and also thought of the heart of Bajian. Why should a powerful ninja bow down to the daimyo? Think more. Giving money to develop. No, the name of the money you paid is the protection fee. Standing on the table, looking at the stunned Mabuyi, Bajian tilted his head. It is estimated that the stimulation to her is large enough at once, and it will take time to digest. But back to digestion. And the meaning of the latter words is not important to Kumogakure village. The first 8 words were what he wanted. Looking at the stunned Mabui, Hachiken nodded to Kakashi in the distance. The latter's comprehension will disappear in an instant. When he reappeared a few minutes later, 2 Anbu carrying a stretcher were walking slowly behind him. And above that stretcher is the 4th generation Reikage with a broken leg and a broken hand. He is still very weak, but his complexion is much better than before. Because Bajian has already controlled the dead soul under the knife to temporarily stop torturing the opponent. Anything, he's not interested in killing Reikage directly. Reikage was more valuable alive than he was dead. Moreover, the existence of the dead soul under the knife allows him to control the fate of the opponent at any time. At this moment, the village of Kumogakure has lost all threats to Konoha. Sir Reikage. Seeing Reikage on the stretcher, Mabui anxiously wanted to say something, but in the end Reikage shook his head. With a wry smile, Ying struggled to sit up from the stretcher and looked at Yi Bajian. You taught me a new way of negotiating. On the way here, he had already learned the terms of this negotiation from Kakashi's mouth. From anger, to full of shame, to shaking his head with a wry smile. Along the way, he has experienced all the negative emotions in all his life. But now, he has calmed down. What is the use of anger? With his physical condition, there is no certainty that he will fight back in this situation. Humiliation. Really humiliating. But the reality is so cruel. If the winner is him, if he can think of asking for land, he should also ask. Unfortunately, he didn't dare. Because he lacked the ruthlessness of that kid, what he said was different from the ruthlessness of all other Hokages. The kind of ruthlessness that is unacceptable to the enemy. Yi Bajian, you should know. I can't control this kind of thing. Moment of thought, Reikage said with a sigh. I know. Bajian jumped off the table, walked to the stretcher and patted his shoulder with a smile on his face, but I also know that you can persuade the daimyo of the country of need to accept the conditions. Of course, there are all these besides the land. Pulling out a list from his arms, Bajian pointed. The terrifying amount of compensation and the amount of materials on it made Reikage's head explode, and he couldn't hold back for a while and even spurted out a mouthful of blood. Don't be in a hurry to spurt blood. Put the list into Reikage's arms, Bajian sighed. Don't ask for her way, she is my kitty from today on, understand? The old man can't do it. Reikage trembled and said hoarsely. You can do it, or I'll get it myself. Head in front of Reikage, Bajian's pupils gradually shrank. Remember, if I take it myself, it won't be enough for me. And you forgot something more important. The place of negotiation is the central square of Konoha. I don't know if someone will leak the news of your serious injury. Onoki should be very interested in Kumogakure village. If you don't go back to Kumogakure village again. Leaked news. I am seriously injured. Kira 880 is still in bed. I promise. The struggle in his eyes disappeared instantly, and he shouted 3 words hoarsely, and then he couldn't control the repressed emotions in his heart and fainted. Mission completed. Standing up, Bajian breathed a sigh of relief and looked around. At this moment, everyone's eyes are focused on this young man. He has accomplished what everyone, including Hokage, has not accomplished. From today onwards, his achievements will be shrouded in history. That's Konoha's biggest credit aside from building the village. His chest bulged slightly. Zanpakuto, who was stuck on the ground, seemed to feel his master's emotions falling into his hands. The teenager pointed to the sky with a knife in one hand and looked at the stupid negotiating team in Kumogakure village. This is the price to pay for offending the current Konoha. Listen to me. As long as I'm standing here, Konoha, the first ninja village. 6th. The outbreak time starts tomorrow, because tomorrow is recommended to change the list, whether there is a recommendation for tomorrow. From now on, there will be 10 or 5 2-in-1 chapters every day. Please, the protagonist doesn't recognize his father and doesn't care about Minato calling his father's father. Readers can rest assured. It's just the kind of affection I've ever experienced. It's like having a meal with a family. Maybe the author didn't describe it clearly, sorry. Chapter 98 To You the name of Konoha Kenpachi. The whole place was silent. In the center of Konoha, this huge square is extremely silent at the moment. The only thing that could be heard was the words that were still echoing in the air. I'm standing here. Konoha is the first ninja village. First ninja village. How many years? How many years? No one in Konoha would say such a thing so hard. First ninja village. Such a familiar and unfamiliar name. Maybe only in private will I still proudly tell others that Konoha is the first ninja village. Since the death of Senju Hashirama and the Three Ninja Wars broke out, this title has existed in name only. And now, the young man announced in front of everyone that the former number 1 ninja village had awakened. Focusing on the not tall figure on the field, I never thought that Konoha would have this day. Proudly tell others that we are the number 1 ninja village. This is a veritable number 1 ninja village, not a fake with a swollen face and a fat man. 8 Swords Kun. Outside the square, the voice of the boy still reverberated. Many villagers and ninjas gathered here. Although they did not have the right to go to the negotiating table, they were still watching because of some curiosity. And the purple-haired girl stroked the necklace that came out of her neck. This was a small gift from Bajian when she returned from a mission for the first time. At this moment, he is in the spotlight. So bright. Just look at him like this. Just like that. Jien sang. Itachi looked at the man. There was no extra color in his eyes, and he followed his shadow as always, and he was willing to do so. Kakashi-senpai, is this the distinctive charisma you're talking about? I guess I get it. Yamato in the distance stared at this scene in a daze. This kind of temperament will make the people around you involuntarily approach and send letters. Just in that second, he could clearly feel the blood boiling in his heart. Born in the roots, he has been brainwashed by Danzo since he was a child, and he has always believed that the ruthless life hidden in the dark is the correct way to protect the village. But now, he understands. Even standing here enjoying the warmth brought by a ray of sunshine and feeling the feeling of glory together, it is so happy. This is the true will of fire. Night. Now. Even the man who talked about youth, Might Guy, who had trained with Bajian, extended his thumb to the field. Teacher, the successor has appeared. But there was one person who couldn't control the kind of blood in his heart, and shed a line of clear tears. Surprising person. The third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Maybe he did a lot of wrong things. The frailty of his character made his heart unstoppable. It's all his fault for letting go of Danzo, unable to bear to attack Orochimaru. However, one thing must be acknowledged. That was his heart, always towards Konoha. Perhaps the lack of ability and character is indeed criticized. For Konoha, he sacrificed his life just like any other Hokage. He was hot when he was young. This scene reminded him of many things. The real successor has appeared. In the end, he smiled and nodded at the young man, then turned and left with a bit of loneliness. He is old. Minato is right, it's time to take a good rest. Danzo next to him did not have any special emotions. His eyes flickered as he watched Sarutobi's back, and eventually disappeared behind him. After the negotiation was over, the Kumogakure messenger group had no reason to stay any longer. Reikage was still seriously injured and now he had to rush back to Kumogakure village. One last glance at Yi Bajian, Ma Buyi turned around and left with the people. The field, Minato smiled at Bajian with relief, took out his own special kunai from his arms and walked to the merit wall next to him, and stopped in front of the leader. The only name above is clearly visible. Knight 8 Swords. Konoha is currently the Minister of Anbu. Graduated from the ninja school at the age of 6, joined Anbu to support the front line in the same year, completed the S-level mission, severely damaged the elite killer bee Jinchuriki column force of the Kumogakure village, and captured the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force for Konoha, ending the border war, gained favorable conditions for the Konoha negotiations. July 1st of the same year, Yingying personally led a team to infiltrate Konoha to cause destruction. Yi Bajian was keenly aware of the enemy's trail and started a fierce battle. This battle, kill 6 Kumogakure Jonin and capture Reikage. Lifting his head and pinching his kunai, Minato's face was full of awe and he stroked it with his own hands. July 5th personally negotiated with the Kumogakure village messenger group, and this negotiation helped Konoha to obtain a huge amount of materials and money. Addition, stand shoulder to shoulder or even surpass the merits of Hokage of all dynasties. The first to expand the territory for Konoha. As Hokage, personally engrave his own merits for his subordinates. Minato said that this credit belongs to Yabajian, not him. Really? Eight Swords shrugged his shoulders. His merits and so on will definitely fill up this wall in the future, so he didn't want this. Yes. He doesn't like it. Since it has to be recorded, the impact of acquiring a new site is not enough. Well, even defeating the needy shadow on that is not that good. Wouldn't it be fragrant to write about the unified ninja world directly? Why do you spend so much money? Shaking his head, the negotiation has ended, and it has given enough pressure to Kumogakure village. Next, we only need to observe the movements of the genin world and prepare for the next Kyubi, Nine Tails chaos. In any case, if Obito dared to come, he would absolutely dare to destroy the opponent. Although Kamui is difficult to deal with, it is not absolutely without weaknesses. As long as he takes the chance, Obito will die. But when he was about to leave, Minato suddenly walked up to him. Teacher, what are you doing? Eight Swords raised eyebrows. I, the fourth Hokage representing Konoha. A high-pitched and enthusiastic voice spread from every corner of the central square, and Minato's words caught everyone's attention. What is this for? I'm not a Hokage. Eight Swords took 2 steps back vigilantly, and Minato scratched his head in embarrassment with the look of disgust on his face. Although Minato also wants to take this opportunity to tell everyone that this is the 5th generation of Konoha's Hokage. But when he said that, he was under pressure. Nothing else, although the merit and strength are enough, but after all, he is too young. In a few more years, help his disciples to protect Konoha for a few more years, he can also retire. I go by the name of the 4th generation Hokage. Give the Knight 8 Swords Konoha Sword 8 the title. From today, Konoha Kenpachi enjoys all the powers and duties of Hokage. Kenpachi. These are 2 words that Bajian mumbles from time to time. Minato thinks these 2 words are not bad and they sound quite imposing. They are better than what he thought Konoha, better Lily, wielding a knife and slashing the little warriors, so he simply took advantage of this opportunity to build momentum for his disciples. Enjoy the powers and responsibilities that Hokage should have in advance, but do not inherit the title of Hokage. The title of Kenpachi is well deserved. After speaking, a small golden cross sword appeared in Minato's hand and hung it on the chest of Bajian. Objects that have been made in advance have the same nature as the Hokage cloak. A symbol of unique glory. This. Bajian was stunned, just about to say that this is not the world of death, you have gone to the wrong place. Who knew that there were cheers around the square? That sound of Konoha Kenpachi's shout made him finally nod his head. Starting today. He is Konoha Kenpachi. Unique Kenpachi. First more. Code wording. Ps. Some readers ask the update time, because Shao Sasuke has to help the house in the morning, so the coding can only be started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. From 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock, this is the time for the little author to code. Thank you for your support, the author will continue to work hard. Chapter 99 The Akatsuki, at that time was an extraordinary shock in the ninja world. A few days later. Ninja world. when letters of information were sent to the desks of the shadows of the major shinobi villages. In this restless world, strange waves appeared again, and the shaking began. An extremely fierce character appears in Konoha. Kumogakure, who has always been known for his strong force. Catch the second tail. Seriously wounded 8 tails. Even left the 4th generation Raikage in Konoha, using the other side as a bargaining chip. Combining 3 things together, it turned into an even more shocking result. The village of Kumogakure is willing to divide the land to Konoha, promise never to violate the border of the Fire Nation, and compensate huge war supplies. That irascible Kumogakure village has actually softened. They did not know the specific process of the negotiation, but now the result has appeared in front of them. Only one can be sure. Konoha gained enough benefits in this war. On the other hand, Kumogakure village has been weakened to the extreme. Maybe this is an opportunity for them. The news has been passed to the ninja world through the help of some people. But the strange thing is that none of the shinobi villages took the lead in expressing their opinions. For the village of 830 Kumogakure accused Konoha of this land grab. No kidding, this is the real world, they can only see what they can do to themselves. And the terrifying tacit understanding led to the abnormal calm of the ninja world. Konoha Kenpachi, as bright as a star streaking across the night sky, entered their sight for the first time with this attitude. A boy called Konoha Kenpachi. It's the brightest new star. The calmness of the ninja world does not mean inaction. It seems that a larger storm is brewing. Rain country. The land hit by rain all year round is already muddy, but the people here have adapted to this kind of environment. Survived strong. And their days, after a major accident in the village of Omegakure, suddenly became more comfortable. This country, which has been in the cracks of great powers for many years and used as a battlefield, is slowly recovering. But whether this recovery is a good thing or a bad thing, no one knows for now. In the village of Omegakure, strange buildings can be seen everywhere. On the monster-like tower in the middle, a figure appeared there. Pale blue hair with an unusual AECG indifference on a serene face. Especially the metal objects like lip studs always remind people of some kind of strange sex toys. Her name is Conan, and here she is also an angel. At this time, she was holding a piece of information in her hand. 8 Swords of the Night. Konoha Kenpachi. With a whisper, the information slowly flew to her and became a part of her. Just as she was about to walk into the building, the ring on her finger suddenly radiated heat. Pain, is there a meeting? Looking around, Conan closed his eyes. A dark hall, one after another illusory figure appeared on the fingers of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. There, Akatsuki regular meeting. While reporting on the work situation, share the information worthy of attention in the ninja world. Now Akatsuki Obito is still behind the scenes, and the ghost has not yet joined in, far from the later stage. So sharp. Obito Deidara, Ghost Shark, Hidan are just some little-known scumbags. But there is one person that makes Conan particularly concerned. Orochimaru. Konoha S-class missing nin, who just joined Akatsuki not long ago. The purpose is currently unknown. About Konoha Kenpachi information, Orochimaru, you should know something. After the regular information sharing was completed, Yahiko, who was under Nagato's control, looked at Orochimaru, the lavender reincarnation. Eyes made Orochimaru's heart throb. 6 paths fairy eyes. Why did it appear to him? Bajian-kun, I like him a lot. Orochimaru's phantom moved slightly, with extreme longing and greed in his eyes, but among these things. With a trace of incomprehension. Yes. He is not understanding. I didn't even think that a person who had no feelings for Konoha would now become Konoha's hero. This change caught him off guard. After you have agreed, come to me to discuss the profound meaning of life. Where are you? Squinting, Orochimaru looked at Pain. I used to think I knew Bajian-kun, but now I Can't see through. The only thing I can say is that in terms of swordsmanship I'm sure that no one will be his opponent in the future. His swordsmanship is an art, it's clearly an ordinary slash from beginning to end, if you are not young. The words of your heart will surely cut you into pieces. So, watch out for him, that's my advice. Here's such a comment from Orochimaru's mouth. There was a hint of surprise in the eyes of Conan and Nagato, as well as the Akatsuki members present. Everyone is missing Nin, so they all speak arrogantly. But very few are recognized by people like them. Art. The art of the sword is nothing compared to eternity. Sasori next to him gave a sneer and was particularly unhappy. Artist. Is that kid too? You can't beat him. Orochimaru glanced at Sasori of the red sand with disdain. Maybe he didn't catch a cold and didn't bother to go. Take care. But this Sasori of the red sand really thought the kabuto he sent to him was being controlled. It's a pity, that little trick has already been lifted by him. Kabuto's belief is me Orochimaru from start to finish. Do you want to die? Tell me where you are. Sasori of the red sand squinted at Orochimaru. Tension began to spread. Akatsuki prohibits infighting, and the task at the temporary stage is still to prepare funds for future plans. Dismissed. Nagato has long been accustomed to this kind of thing, and directly cut off the connection of Akatsuki Lingtong. Absolutely, pay attention to that Konoha Kenpachi. After everyone disappeared, Nagato gave an order to the half-black and half-white guy, and finally the darkness. The venue lost its voice. The silence of the ninja world, Akatsuki's attention. These have nothing to do with Yi Bajian. Knowing what to do, not knowing what to do, he had already planned how to deal with it. At this moment, he was holding a baby with a strange look. The baby in his arms is full of spiritual energy. Although he has just been born for a few days, the restless child has already begun. Manifested. What's more, when Bajian was holding each other, this fellow urinated on him too much. His name is Uchiha Sasuke. Beagle. Looking at the small grass pheasant sword in Sasuke's open crotch pants, he looked at Zanpakuto next to him, 8. Grinned at baby Kiba. The second brother of the dangerous second brother. Itachi, who was beside him, looked shocked and rushed to Bajian's side to block his movement of holding the knife. Jien sang, Sasuke is still young. Come at me for something. The second. Code wording. Chapter 100 Be a Real Patriarch. Terrible Brokon tradition of the Uchiha clan. 8 swords turned by Akugan. Can he really make trouble for Sasuke? Naturally not. On the contrary, he is very interested in this strong boy. Not everyone deserves to soak a boy's urine on themselves as a child. But 8 swords also understood that Itachi was just cooperating with himself. With his younger brother, he has one more object to protect from now on. But his relationship with Itachi would never change, he knew that. Just as after his younger brother was born, he hurriedly found himself and wanted to give him a hug. That feeling of sharing joy is enough to show that Itachi regards Hachiken as the most important person. Do you want to make him your own brother? 8 swords smiled. The 2 Destiny children will inevitably be cleaned up by him in the future. Sasuke has already been born, and Naruto will not be long before. Some things that need to be dealt with are also on the agenda. Came to the Uchiha family today, not just to see Sasuke. Handing Sasuke to Itachi, Hachiken took a deep breath while looking at the old patriarch Uchiha next to him. Uncle, are you free to chat? Fugaku froze for a moment, then stood up. His wife and children were by his side, but Bajian did not directly say what the matter was, but asked him if he had time to chat. As the patriarch, he could hear the meaning of the words. Itachi's friend, Konoha's undeserved hero, he wants to talk to himself very clearly. Please. Fugaku used the word, please. Now in Konoha, no one will treat this teenager as a child. Jien sang. Feeling that the atmosphere was slightly wrong, Itachi quickly stood up and looked at the 2 of them. You coax your brother to go, and by the way, remember to wash my clothes for me. Bajian stopped the other party, took off his shirt and threw it in front of him. It's not that he's hiding it from Itachi, and he doesn't need to hide anything because of the relationship between him and Itachi. But this time the content of the conversation was heard by him, and the cranky thinking is certain. Let him feel the changes with his own heart, and then make due consideration by himself. This is the right choice. Inside the living room, Fugaku in front of him handed him a cup of tea with a little doubt in his eyes. This kind of formal conversation is the first time in my memory. Uncle, it's time to tell you something. Bajian smelled the tea and finally put it down in embarrassment. Drinking tea is not suitable for him. He still likes the feeling of ergotu that irritates his throat. These days he has been thinking about the Uchiha family. The tragedy in the original book, after having a fetter with Itachi, he didn't want to see it. I don't even want Itachi to carry things that shouldn't be carried by him. From the pain of genocide, walking alone in the dark. That's not something a normal person can live with. But it's not easy to change. After his analysis, there are two main contradictions in genocide. First, Konoha's high-level distrust, unfair treatment, etc. This can be solved perfectly because of his relationship. Neither Danzo nor the three generations have the right to interfere. The occurrence of the Kyubi Nine-Tails rebellion directly and indirectly caused many problems. The fact that the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan can control the tailed beast has been brought to the light again. Higher-ups really don't know that Sharingan can control Kyubi Nine-Tails. Uchiha Madara and Senju Tobarama's battle process, it is impossible to leave no information. And Uchiha Madara is precisely controlling Kyubi Nine-Tails to open the powerful costume Susanoo Nenping, and can fight with the first generation to that point. Therefore, the high-level intelligence who controls the tailed beast must know. They just lack a reason to squeeze, kill, or even force Uchiha. Taking advantage of this pretext, he suppressed the opponent to the edge of the village, allowing the Uchiha family to migrate to the clan, surveillance and other means to follow. Regarding the first point, it is now the fourth generation of Hokage Minato to control Konoha. There are 8 swords in everything to say, so it is not a big problem. But the second is the problem of the Uchiha family itself. Pride is okay, but too much pride can bring disaster. The strongest clan in the Sengoku period alongside the Senju clan, this title has always been in their hearts. Even a sense of superiority over the other villagers of Konoha. There is also the existence of the Konoha guards, who, arrogantly thinking that they are in control of the security issues of the village, patrol the Konoha village every day. Getting caught for not following the rules is inevitable. Uchiha guards in Heiken's eyes. If you do something wrong, you will be punished. But you have to be justified in order to convince the public. Get rid of the stinky problems on your body and completely integrate into Konoha. Otherwise, coercive measures are inevitable. Fugaku before enforcing the coercive measures. Don't make any misunderstandings. He admires Uchiha. Although this family is a bit neurotic, if they really get along, they will be the most reliable companions. In addition to Shisui, Itachi, there are many excellent talents. But it doesn't matter. Fugaku took a deep breath and looked serious. The Uchiha family has been very nourished recently. Looking at Fugaku with a smile, Bajian sighed ergotu. Naturally, the attitude of the 4 generations towards Uchiha is very gratifying, at least fair. Really comfortable. Fugaku nodded. He didn't have to face Sarutobi Hiruzen's stinky face all day. He didn't have to think about how to fight against the top, and he didn't have to feel uncomfortable because of exclusion. Even ethnic groups have become consistent with other ethnic groups in the distribution of interests, and there is no such unfair treatment. On such days, no one will be dissatisfied. If that's the case, I'll stop talking nonsense. Bajian nodded. Does my uncle know what it takes to maintain this kind of satisfaction? If you get it, you have to pay. Fugaku to answer. Hachiken stretched out 2 fingers. Loyalty. Loyalty, absolute loyalty. You know the problem of the Uchiha clan in your own heart. If you can show me the might method you should have as a clan leader, I promise to understand the correct meaning of these two words. I also promise my uncle here. Uchiha, always Uchiha of Konoha. If you can't do it, I can help you. Having said that, for this sake, there is no need to describe other issues in detail. Uchiha Fugaku is the head of the Uchiha clan. He knows better what the problem is in this clan. The meaning of the 8 swords is obvious. Show up your courage as the patriarch and clean up those who are disobedient in the clan. If you can't clean up well, I'll help you clean up. It's that simple. Silence. The atmosphere in the living room was eerily silent. Fugaku didn't speak and seemed to be thinking about something. I need time, and Konoha's trust. Under these two premises, Uchiha will always be the Uchiha of Konoha. A long time, Fugaku finally let out a breath and raised his head to look at the 8 swords. He compromised. From today, he will be a real patriarch. Third more. Code wording.